Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Knowledge and Relationships. This is your boy M3, and I have First Lady Tammy, Quentin Harris, and Mr. Best in the World.
Yeah, I'm here, everybody. I am a real African. Fight for the rights of every man. Yeah, I am here, everybody. I am here. I'm here. Yes. Now the relationships we in the building. You know what I'm saying? We are
Mhm.
certainly in the building. Matter of fact, guys, I'm okay. I'm gonna drop out and come right back. Literally. I'll be back within 10 to 15 minutes because I have to handle some business arrangements. But everybody stay tuned. And then the Thrasher, what's up? First Lady Tammy! Tammy! And then three. Holla at me, man. I'll be right back.
All right, definitely for sure, though. And then for some reason, Quentin's device just went out on him. He is still somewhere in here. And also, excuse the intro. I did not realize that the volume went out in the beginning of it. So, in the meantime, until that get fixed, you're gonna have to just deal with a silent timer. But anyways, First Lady Tammy, how are you doing tonight?
Um, I'm doing pretty good. I got like 30 kids that got referred to BSU. So I'm super happy about that. I mean, that's a lot of kids. So I'm looking forward to it getting started. So I'm just making a list of what names I got, and who I've given their invites to, and I'm looking forward to that getting started. So it's been a good day today. Besides the rain, it's been a good day. So
Okay. And for the chat, you gotta define what is BSU stand for.
so BSU stands for Black Student Union. So it's a club where you get to socialize and interact with other students that look like you and experience the same things as you. We do a lot of fun things. We're going to have a lot of different events, activities. We're going to have guest speakers. Black History Month, I'm looking forward to that because I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So, and I'm the only Black teacher at my school, so I kind of feel like I needed to take it over because the teacher that was doing it, they ended up going to another school. So I feel like I needed to take it over because if I didn't, nobody else would have, and then the program would have just left. So I didn't want that. So I decided to take it over and handle it. So far, I'm looking forward to it. We have our first meeting next Tuesday. So
Okay. Well, definitely good luck for that, and for all the students that's out there. And so today's topic is called Accountability is Not Judgment. So, I've been hearing this so-called accountability word for quite some time. And I feel like, now it's a good time to try to touch up on that. And before we begin with the questions, let's give a first shout outs to Gator Girl. She says, peace, knowledge, and relationship show fam. M3 and First Lady Tammy. Keep the fire content coming. Y'all killing it. Well, thank you, Gator Girl. We're going to give you a round of applause. So, welcome back. Welcome back. All right. So, let's start off with the first question right off the bat. And the first question is, why is it so hard for people to take accountability? Why is that, First Lady Tammy?
I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh because, a lot of people don't want to, a lot of people don't like to admit that they're wrong. A lot of people don't like to admit what's wrong with them. And some people don't want to take responsibility for why something didn't go a certain way. They're not ready for that. So, and then you have to have the other side of it is some people don't see that they did anything wrong. So some people have a hard time taking accountability because in their mind, they didn't do anything wrong. So they don't want to, they can't see what part they played. They only see what the other person did. I mean, I tell my students all the time that, you have to take accountability for why something happened. So, I mean, the kids call me roasting them, which I wouldn't say I'm roasting them, but I mean, it's just a matter of in my classroom one day, one of the kids had taken something out their backpack, and another kid went and took it and put it on my desk. And the first student got upset, and he was like, "Can I get my stuff back?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Well, he took it out of my bag." I said, "Well, if you didn't pull it out your bag, he wouldn't have known you had it." "But he took it out of my bag." I said, "But had you not taken it out your bag, he wouldn't even known that you had it to take." I said, "So you need to take accountability for why that happened." I said, not to say that you're fully to blame, but you need to understand that part of it is because of what you did. So, and then he said to me, "Well, wouldn't you be upset if the teacher took your thing?" And I said, "Yeah, you're probably right. I would be." I said, "But I wouldn't have taken it out to begin with." So, but it's interesting because I feel like that stems from if your parents don't understand how to take accountability, then they don't teach you how to take accountability. So, but yeah, I mean, I think people are just not ready to face the bad parts about themselves. They're not ready for that. People see themselves in a certain kind of way, and taking accountability means you have to really look at yourself to see what things are wrong when it comes to you, because nobody's perfect. So you have to be able to be okay with those imperfections that you have, and everybody's not ready for that. So rather than take accountability, you will continue to say, "Well, this person did this and that person did that." It's not always about that person. Even when it comes to relationships, if you're if you're getting in the same kind of relationships, at some point you have to say, "Okay, let me see what's wrong with me." Like, it can't always be everybody else. At some point you have to look and see what's wrong with you. What could you have done differently that could have caused a different outcome? But not everybody's ready to do that. So some people would rather just, keep on and act like everything is great and lovely when it's really not. So yeah, so that's the thing about it.
Yeah. Before I get my 2 cents into it, shout out to Kate Marion. She says, "Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here with us." Now, what do you call it? It's not the hashtags, but the @ and relationships. Okay, so unfortunately, when it comes to taking personal responsibility for yourself, it is easy for people to judge other people and look at, well, if this person haven't done this to me, then I would not have responded that way, or I would not be in this situation if it hasn't been for the people around me. When people usually get upset, a lot of times what comes out of their mouth is always them blaming someone else of their past traumas and hurts. And you rarely hear someone in the midst of them getting upset, "Well, you know what? I'm upset because I allowed this part to happen. Or I opened my heart to this person, knowing that this person is going to take me for granted, yet I gave that person a chance. So I need to hold myself accountable and learn from my mistakes." So people they're not really vocal about that when it comes to reflecting on their own personal selves. And I think that's where we have like a lot of pushback from each other. Before I begin, Kashim says, "Whoop whoop." First Lady Tammy being straightforward, defining accountability. And then she says, "Good evening to the founder and chief of NOT Relationships Podcast, Mr. M3. Thank you, Kashim. Good evening to you. And everybody, let's get these likes up. Thank you for watching NOT Relationships on YouTube. Get the likes up and subscribe to our YouTube channel." Okay. Let me go ahead and bring Quentin Harris to see if he's in there. Quentin, before I bring you in there, make sure that your surroundings is very clear. There's no loud children. Oh, see. There's an echo in there. Fix that echo, Kris. Okay. So anyways.
One thing I will say is that, when people blame other people, like you have to understand that you have no control over anybody but yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't control what somebody says to you, but you can control how you react to it. You can control how you interact with other people. So, and some people aren't willing to do that. You know, they don't want to look at what they like we've already said. They don't want to look at what actions they could have taken differently that would have caused a different outcome. So it's interesting because I tell people all the time that you have no control over anybody but yourself. So even if somebody says or does something to you, you choose how you're going to react to that person. You choose how you're going to interact with that person. So that's the only thing that you have control over. You don't have control over anybody else. That's why when it comes to, you know, waiting for an apology from somebody, I mean, you could wait and wait and wait and wait, and that apology may never come because you can't control when or if that person does apologize. You have no control over that. So what you can do though is you can just, you know, take it upon yourself to just let things go. Because even when it comes to that forgiveness, because they always talk about forgiveness and asking people for forgiveness and things like that. Yeah, you do need to make sure that you forgive other people, but that doesn't they don't necessarily have to accept it. So that's the thing, is that, you know, an apology, sitting there waiting for an apology and things like that, that may never come. So when it comes to holding grudges, that's another thing, is that you want people to hold themselves accountable, but not everybody's going to be doing that. Not everybody's ready to do that. And not everybody wants to do that. So you have to really understand those things when it comes to accountability, that if you try to hold someone else accountable, keep in mind that they're not always going to do that because they may not be ready for that. Because holding yourself accountable is a sign of maturity.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter how old you are, you might not have reached that level of maturity yet. So you have to know your audience, kind of thing. Like you have to know your audience.
Right, right. I definitely do agree.
Mm.
All right, Kris.
Absolutely true.
Yeah. There's a lot of echo.
That's my son on the phone. That's my son. I'm in the kitchen and he's in the living room. I turned stuff down.
All right, turn down real quick.
Hold on,
because I can hear myself.
For sure. You can hear yourself. It ain't that loud. Can you hear it now?
Yeah, I can still hear myself.
You can hear yourself, or you can hear us in the background.
Okay, let me mute you real quick. So I can hear myself and I can hear everything in the background. So fix the background noise and then come back.
All right, hold on.
Okay. So let me go ahead to like number 2. All right. So number 2 is, what do people have the hardest time taking accountability for? Why do you think that is?
I would say when it comes to relationships, I think people have a hard time taking accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are not ready to admit that there's something wrong with them. Like you always want to try to put it off on the other person. Well, the other person should have did this. Well, the other person should have did that. And I think that when it comes to relationships, sometimes you have to take a hard look about why things haven't gone right. And I feel like until you do that, things are not going to go in the right direction. Things are always going to continue to go in a negative way, because taking accountability is about self-reflection, and it's about seeing the things that you need to do differently. And that's why you have where some people, they say, oh, you know, I keep just dating the same kind of person. Well, there's a reason why. There's a reason why you keep dating the same kind of person. You seem to attract that same kind of person, and there's a reason for that. So some people have to take time to look at themselves, and not everybody's ready to do that, and that's the problem. Like I said, it's about maturity. It's not everybody reaches that level of maturity, no matter how old they are. You could be in your 40s, 50s, 60s. That doesn't necessarily mean that you reach maturity, because age really is truly nothing but a number when it comes to a lot of things. And that includes accountability, and that includes maturity. Not everybody's there yet.
Okay. Yeah. let's see, what do people have the hardest time taking accountability for? I want to say for their mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to hurting other people.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Nobody wants to. I think the hardest thing is that when you hurt someone, I don't think that people would like to acknowledge that. It's like I don't know what good example I could say, but I guess like in a lack of better words, it's like when you get into an argument with someone and you're always wanting to be right in the argument, and so you finally win in that argument by being right, but was it really worth the process of hurting that person just to get the last word into that? And then when you find out that what you guys were saying was wrong and you contributing to that, it's hard to try to. I think it's really hard for people to say, "Hey, look, I messed up, and I'm sorry, for hurting you." Instead, I feel like they try to give an excuse and then layer it with another excuse to justify why this happened, And I feel like they'll try to reflect it onto that person and say, well, you made me say these things and you made me do this thing. So now this is the reason why, I'm like this. Instead of just saying, look, I messed up. I should have said the things that I said. I should have listened to you. And that is it. And Access Entertainment says guilty. Yeah. And people like, get the likes up, y'all. Get the likes up for sure. He says, been there through that. Yeah. I'm for sure that we all have. So.
A lot of people are not good listeners, though. Like when somebody's trying to tell you something and to tell you about yourself, like some people are not good at listening.
Mm-hmm.
And some people do take accountability as judgment. As you're trying to judge me, you're trying to, you just always have something to say. And sometimes people really need to take the time to listen because people will see things about you that you can't see about yourself. And so and that's the things you have to, don't necessarily take what they say, but take the person and know their intent. So that's the thing, is that you have to understand the intent of the person when they are saying something to you. Because if it's coming from a place of love, what they're saying. They're not saying what they're saying to hurt you. They're really saying what they're saying to help you. So you have to look at the intent of the person to know whether or not that's something that the person is saying out of love, or if they're saying it with, malicious intent behind it. So I think that's part of what the problem is, that people don't want to listen because in their mind, this person always has something negative to say. They're always criticizing me, but sometimes you need to take the time to listen and know that, is this somebody that you feel is saying what they're saying because it's out of love, or is it not out of love? Is it because there's some other intent behind it? So you have to look at that as well. And know that somebody trying to hold you accountable, you need to look at that and listen to what they're saying, because like I said, people see things that we don't. And when it comes from somebody that's on the outside looking in, they can see things that we can't see. So, but yeah, and that's the thing, is that sometimes we're not in a place of good intention. So when we're not in a place of good intention, we can't see other people that are in a good place of good intention, because we're already negative. So when you're already negative, you're going to see other people as being negative, especially if it's somebody that's not on your side. If they're not on your side, they're not agreeing with you, they're not saying yes to everything, then you're going to look at like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's like, when you have, like, as women, we have friends that know when we're doing something that's not okay. but we don't always call each other out. So you will have a friend that, we tell them about something that we're doing wrong, and they're like, oh yeah, girl, I know. But instead of saying that, it's like you need to call her out and say, you know what, you're wrong. You shouldn't be doing that, but we don't do that. We have friends that will go along with what we're saying and not disagree and be all for it, instead of being a true friend and saying, no, sis, that's not all right. That's not okay. That's not right.
Yeah. Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think that? I want to shout outs to Brittany B. She says, "Hey, good people." Shout outs to the Queen Dom as well too. Um, but why do you think that people have a hard time? Well, why do you think people don't really hold each other accountable like that?
Because, like, sometimes when you know the person, they're not able to take it.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you don't, because you know that even if you say something, they're not going to hear what you're saying anyway. So you'd rather not say anything at all. So I think that's part of it, is that your audience. If you say certain things, that person's not going to hear you. They're not going to listen to anything you're saying. They're still going to keep doing the same thing they're doing. So in your mind, you're like, there's no point. So I think that's part of it. And the other thing is that you don't want to hurt them. So you'd rather not say something to hurt them, and you'd rather leave it on somebody else. And that's the thing, is you're just waiting on somebody else to point it out. You decide, well, I'm not going to say something. I'm going to let somebody else say something. But that's part of the problem, is that you don't know if anybody else is going to say anything. But you're just saying, well, I'm not going to say anything. Somebody else is going to tell her. And the reality is you don't know somebody is. And that's the whole thing where you have it, where, like, I've watched, like, Law and Order SVU kind of thing. And it'll be where there's like a rape or something that's going on. And nobody says anything because they thought that somebody else was going to say something. So they didn't say something. They said, oh, well, I thought this person was going to say something. I thought that person was going to say something. So you don't say anything because, well, I know if I don't, then somebody else will. But the reality is everybody else could be thinking the same thing. So I do think it's a matter of, you don't want to hurt the person because in your mind you think it will. And also it's a matter of, the person may not be ready to hear what you're saying. So they're going to keep doing what they're doing. I mean, especially if you said something to them already and they just kept on it, it's like you're not going to want to keep saying anything because there's no point. Because in your mind, I've already said something more than once and they still doing it. So what's the point? So, I mean, you don't think of it as, well, if I keep saying something, maybe they'll do something different. You look at it like, well, I've been saying something and they still not doing anything different. So I'm just not going to say anything anymore.
Okay. But what about maybe having like a code, right? Like a code where it's like, this person's wrong, but you're not gonna say anything because maybe there's like a sister code or there's like a bro code.
That's
What
the
do you think about
problem,
those?
though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that I don't agree with those, only because it's like, I feel like that's an immaturity kind of thing. And if you're a real friend, you understand that code doesn't apply all the time. And that's the thing, is, like I said, some people have to be called out. Some people have to be called out when they're wrong, because you don't call them out, they're going to keep doing what they're doing. I mean, there's a risk that you call them out and they still won't keep doing it. But if they do, they can't say that you didn't say anything. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the whole girl code and, with certain things, I feel like it applies. Like when it comes to, not kicking it with somebody that's your best friend kicked it with, yeah, girl code applies in that case. And bro code applies as far as you don't kick it with the girl that your boy was messing with. Like, I think that's where it comes into place. But in other cases, as far as holding someone accountable, you have to hold them accountable. If you call yourself a real friend, then you have to. You can't just allow someone to keep doing something and knowing they're in the wrong, because if that's the case, then you're just as guilty as they are.
Mm-hmm. I dig that. Reason why I brought that up, because I remember a lot of things when I was like on someone's live stream, but someone mentioned about like, yeah, like women, like should have this code, and people who break the code, and it doesn't matter if you're right or if you're in the wrong, like you're supposed to be unified, which I thought was like really dumb. And sad to say, like these were like women that's like in their 50s saying this stuff. So
Yeah.
I was like, all right.
I mean, that's the thing is there's certain things you can be unified about.
Mm-hmm.
Certain things you can. Other things, it's a matter. It's just no, it's not okay, and it's immature. I mean, there's just certain things that you have to. There is not a girl code that should apply.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that is something, like I said, girl code applies when it's like, that used to be my man. Don't mess with my man, because that's where the code should apply, because that makes sense. But when it comes to other things, holding people accountable, calling them out when they're wrong, it's like that you need to do that. There shouldn't be a girl code that says you can't do that. If there is, then they need to let it go.
Oh, she just sung a classic. Don't mess with my man. I'll be doing it, make it to. That was a jam. You remember that? With
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, that was a jam. Mm-hmm. Don't mess with my girl.
That was break it down to you.
Summer 0405, that was a jam. You know what I mean? I was definitely gonna throwback dancing to that. You know what I'm saying? Y'all feel me? With my throwback jersey on, you know what I mean? Dancing, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Feel me? And my do-rag, my doobie, my do-wobble wop, you know what I'm saying? Hey, man, I am back, y'all. You know what I mean? I am definitely back.
Nice to have you back.
Yeah, glad to be back. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody in the comments, man. Shout out to K-Marion. Shout out to Access Entertainment. We see you, baby. You know what I mean? Shout out to Queen Dom. I don't know why you ain't on here, Queen Dom. I'm about to call you, girl. Shout out to Brittany B. She know what it is. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody. Yo, Gator Girl. Gator Girl. Oh, Gator Girl. What's up, girl? Oh, that's my girl right there. Gator Girl. I love me some Gator Girl. We love you. That is our number one supporter from day one is Gator Girl, man. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? She's been riding with us the whole time. And one day she will grace us with her presence. One day. Hopefully.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And look, I'm gonna open up the streams chat for anybody to join in. Brittany B, if you're still in here, like, feel free to like join us, Cam up as well too though. So yeah. I think I saw her like somewhere on the Lapeef, but anyways, we'll get to the next question, and then Mr. Best in the World, you could be the first to answer this. But number 3 is, which gender has the hardest time taking accountability? Why do you think that? Let's see. Mr. Best in the World?
I'm sorry, I had to take a call. Sorry.
No problem.
What was you asking? Oh, okay. Which gender has the hardest time taking accountability? Why do you think that? I don't think it's based on gender. I think it's based on life experience. You know what I'm saying? I think if you have a man that feels like he's right and he don't want to do the right thing, trust me, I have experience with that. Trust me. You know what I mean? I have a parent. Well, oh man, dang, I blew up a spot. I'm sorry, Dad. But you don't like to take accountability. I'm sorry. I love you, Dad. I'm sorry. So if you got somebody they could be a full grown man, they ain't a senior citizen. If they don't want to take accountability, there's nothing you can do. Okay? They will never take accountability. They'll never apologize. And that's just what it's gonna be. And you gotta be okay with that. You have to be okay with that. You gotta understand that what they did is not okay. You know what I mean? But you gotta move on. You can have a woman that don't want to take accountability, who she wants to blame everybody for everything that's going on in her life. I've seen that too. I know a woman right now, like she's had different things happen in her life. You know what I mean? She has different people in her family that's not here no more. But I don't mean you gotta act like a witch. I ain't gonna use the other word, but I don't mean you gotta act like that. And part of that is just who she is. That's really just who she is, honestly. Because the person that she's with has given her all types of comfort. Her man does everything for her, and she still is mean. Like, so it don't even matter. Like, it's just who you are. That's who you are. A person wants to take accountability and responsibility, or or both of those things, they are going to rectify their actions. They're not going just to let things happen and they don't do anything. You know what I mean? They're going to make adjustments. They're going to apologize, and they're going to make sure that that they're sorry. But somebody who don't give a damn and want to do what they want to do, they're not going to apologize for nothing. You know what I mean? They're just going to let it be what it is, and then you're going to be sitting there like, stuck like Chuck. You know what I mean? Waiting for them to apologize, waiting for an apology, or waiting for something to happen that just ain't going to never happen. Okay? So you got to understand that too. When somebody don't want to be accountable or responsible, you have to let it go. Okay? You gotta let it go, and you cannot force them to be something that they are not willing to be. You know what I mean? Like, that's the biggest thing. You know what I mean? I don't know why Tammy's so close to the camera, but whatever. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? With that being said, I think accountability is major, man. I think it's major. And I think that, man, how somebody grows up, it's gonna really determine, their characteristics, man. Like, it's really an impact. Like, like I said, I've seen full-grown men, who are, as big as football players or basketball players, who don't want to take accountability for nothing. So it don't matter about size or stature or even age, man. It really matters about life experience and your character and your maturity level. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, if you have a good maturity level and you have, good characteristics, then all that was gonna show. That's all gonna come out. You know what I mean? But if you don't have that, then yeah, that's gonna show too. So yeah, it's all depending on your character and experience. I don't think it's a gender thing. But the question is, I'm gonna throw the question back. I'm gonna throw the question to Damo. There you go. Come on, Damo. Hey, there she go. What's up, girl?
Hi, I'm
What I mean?
here.
Yeah,
Hello, Damo.
yeah.
Hi, guys.
That
I'm
is
at
the
work, so
assistant.
that's why my camera's off.
I know, girl. We know you do your thing. That is the assistant network manager for Nigerian relationships. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let her answer number 2. I'm gonna fall back.
Oh, it's a number 3 question, but yeah.
Okay, which gender?
Oh my God, number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Which gender? I think I'm going to have to say men. I think
I sure know, man. We can't have no more peaceful. Go ahead, Dom.
Damo, but I tell you.
let me say why. I feel like this is the reason why. I feel like men really can trick themselves into thinking that they didn't do something or mean to do something or say something or feel some type of way that they felt. Like, they could really sit there and, like, let's say have a hickey, and they will convince you and themselves that there's nothing on their neck. Like I feel like guys really could sit there and you could see them take the spoon and put it in the drawer, and they will literally sit there and say, I ain't do that, that ain't happen, I ain't do that. Women will straight be like, yeah, put the spoon in their hands. So I think I'm gonna have to say men on that one. Like, that's just it. But women, I feel like for the women that I know, if we do something, we gonna let you know we did it. Oh well, what's next? You saw it. Move on. So yeah, I would have to say men.
Hold on for a second, guys.
Hold on, you saw it. What the hell are you doing?
Oh man, this is too early for this. See,
I'm just being honest.
See, you see people in the chat. See, I was trying to have like a good old nice time, right? Try and be, not so biased. But okay, Dom. I'm going to have to say I definitely. You already know I want to disagree on this one, right?
I already know, but can you see the honesty? Can you see where I'm coming from though? Because you know, guys do it all the time, right? Let's be honest.
Hit the note.
No.
See, you doing it right now.
I knew I was coming.
Look, Dom. All right, let me just break it down to you, right?
Yeah, talk to him.
You see, and now hold on. We got welcome back. Okay. See. Now you're unwoken Caprice in the chat. She said, "Oh wow, no Dom, right?" And then Kashim says, "LL Dom gave a great description of situations of the men in the bro code." Oh, see,
boy, here we go.
See, this is why I hate being fair,
hold on,
man.
hold on. Can I say this real quick? Y'all be acting got a woman code. And I always say this, and me and M3 definitely agree. Women will defend each other no matter what, okay? Y'all will defend each other to the death. Y'all will lie, cheat, and steal to defend each other. You know what I'm saying? Oh, girl, don't worry about it. We got him. It's okay. You know, it ain't okay.
They don't like each other.
Yeah.
So women should. So when we don't like each other, it's women don't like each other. But yeah,
no,
when
it's
we
a difference. Though. You don't like each other, but you defend each other. It's weird. Y'all weird like that. Y'all don't like each other, but y'all defend each other. I don't understand it, but
I definitely stand for that. Me and Bae just went out for date night on the weekends like we usually do. And the guy put the receipt in the middle and I looked at him like, what? And so I told him when I used to waitress and bartend, I would always give the receipt to the guy. When I used to work in retail, I used to always look at the guy and be like, so the price is $150. Yes, I'm a feminist. So what? But I would look and be like, the price is $150 to the guy. Like, I'm a stand up for women 100%. I'm a woman. I can't help it. I'm also Black. I stand up for Black people.
Okay. Hold on. First, before I begin, right? Let's welcome Queen into the building. Queen 2K21.
Hello.
And let me read your priestess comment, right? She says, men will tell you that you are wrong, and women will wait until the sky is purple, right? You know, and Kashim with the laughing emojis. All right, look, Dominique. All right. See, I'm sorry, ladies. See, I didn't even want to have to do this, right? I'm trying to be fair, but you know, leave it to Dom, man. We're gonna have this. We're gonna keep having this gender war. So look, women have a hard time taking accountability. See, yes, the thing is, us men, and see, hold on, we got your priest in there, right? She can be the one to correct you. You know, actually, hold on, I'm gonna fall back real quick because since we have your priest in here,
fall back in 3.
Yeah. Since we have your priest in here, hold on, let me move you to this. There we go. Your priest, I want you to do me a favor.
Yes.
Caprice, can you please educate Dom on your views and why you think that women don't really hold themselves accountable as much as men do?
Before you answer, your voice is cute. Your voice is so cute, and so is your picture.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Now
thank you,
answer.
Thank you. I know my voice is cute.
Not you, Jeffrey. I know I'm talking to you.
Don't try to butter up. Look at her. Try to butter her up, right? Yeah, your face is cute, girl. You know.
Thank you. I've never heard that before. So I would have to say that it's women, only because us women, we don't have that like logical sense first. We like emotional, and like it's
Jeffrey, hold on.
Yeah.
Say it again, Jeffrey. Say that again. Say that one more time.
That women don't have the logical sense first. So it's hard for us to, like, for example, it's hard for us to tell one another, like another woman, that she's wrong, or just to tell the truth, period, whether it's maybe she doesn't look good or maybe anything like so. And that falls into that accountability category as well. So I feel as though we don't really say the truth because we are trying to like not come off as mean or not, just trying to save face. And I believe that men have, whether it's somebody in a man's group is gonna tell the truth, whether it's like a brother or a dad or uncle versus a woman's group. Everybody's going to just be lying to each other, be like, yeah, girl, no, like that kind of thing. So I feel as though women are the ones who don't hold each other accountable. However, yes, there are some exceptions that, I'm not saying that it's, just, it's not true, but the majority is what makes the rules, and exceptions don't make the rules. So I believe that it's women.
All right. Can I answer Japrice, please?
Yeah.
So Japrice, I will say I can agree that there are women who don't tell other women things, but for me, I don't really have any women in my life around me that do that because I don't like that. So for me, so like you say, maybe exceptions to the rule or majority rules. So in my life, majority of the women I know, we say it how it is, what it is. There's no need to lie. There's no need to hold back on how we feel. Like, unless it's certain things, of course, you're not going to just be mean all day. We're not mean all day, but I don't get that. I don't have those kinds of friends or anybody like that in my life. So yeah, I don't hang around women that do that. So for me, that's where I'm coming from. Yeah, as far as men, I feel like men, I don't know, I hang out with a lot of guys. I've had a lot of male friends. I've had more male friends than female friends in my life. And my guy friends will definitely lie for each other all the time. I literally watch it. Like, are you really sitting there saying that he's at your house and he is nowhere near you? You didn't even speak to him today? So I want to say, for me, hanging around guys, I watch them lie too much to each other and we don't even know it. Like, they literally lie for each other all day. My brother lies for my cousin all day. Like, I feel like the guys just, they got a bro code and they do that. We just don't always know it.
Bro code and girl code both exist. That's the thing. So I'm sick of women sitting here acting like y'all innocent. Y'all not innocent. Y'all be the same one doing little devious stuff behind your man back all the time. Y'all know y'all be doing that type of stuff. So miss me with that bro code stuff because y'all got a girl code. And y'all know that that's true. You know what I'm saying?
So like when I think about accountability, I don't think about like the example that you just gave, Dom, like because I would expect my husband's brother to have his back if I call him with a question. That's just no doubt about it. Or maybe his friend. That's just, that's just how, that's how that's what happens. And I'm talking about someone telling my husband, okay, maybe he's wrong, or my husband saying, you know what, I was wrong. Like that type of accountability. As you can see, the whole trend that's going on today, where everybody's like having these talk shows, and with Kevin Samuels, women call in all the time and they never take accountability that they did something, or like, okay, maybe it wasn't nearly 100% their fault, but they played a part in it. And then it's just like pulling teeth and nails for women to even admit that, you know what, I probably shouldn't have had all these children by different men. And they just can't say it. And that's what I mean by accountability. Like that kind of stuff. I mean, I understand, but like I wouldn't expect my sister or my best friend to tell on me if my husband calls her. That I don't believe that kind of falls in a category of accountability. But sorry, Adam is crying.
No, you're good.
I wouldn't have 6 kids by 6 different men, but I would think that I wouldn't want to just like be like, yeah, I'm wrong for that. I think I might say it to a close friend of mine, but I probably wouldn't get on his stream and divulge something so close like that. So I could definitely understand someone being like, I don't want to really answer that. Like, I think it's more about embarrassment than it is about not knowing, like, you're accountable, not being accountable for it. It's like, this person, maybe is going to make me feel embarrassed, or maybe I'm in front of someone I don't know well enough to be that honest. It's not there. Sometimes it's not your business for me to be that honest with you. I don't know you like that. Why do I got to be honest? So some people I do also think lie and like don't hold themselves accountable because they just like, I don't need to tell you because I just don't care how you feel about it. So I don't want to have a debate with you about my life, So I'm gonna just say, nope, I wasn't wrong. Move on, and we're gonna not talk about it.
Okay. Let me get First Lady Tammy starts. First Lady Tammy, what do you think about the number 3 question?
It's interesting. Because I don't know. I see where Damo's coming from. But
Can I hit my own button so I could be like, whoa! Yeah, boo, right.
But I also see where Best in the World is coming from, where it's about life experience. I do there's things like I don't necessarily think it's really a gender thing. It's more of a maturity thing. Because like I said, taking accountability is a sign of maturity, and not everybody reaches that level of maturity, no matter how old you are. So I do feel like sometimes we as women don't hold each other accountable because we just agree with, oh girl, it's okay, it's fine, don't even worry about it. And when we're saying something that's clearly wrong, sometimes you don't have the kind of friend that's going to point that out. Sometimes you have the kind of friend that's just going to go along with what you're saying and not say, girl, no, that's wrong. So yeah, it's hard to say. Like I said, it's I can see where she says as far as guys, but I do think it's a matter of maturity. It's not necessarily a gender thing. It's a maturity thing. So it's a matter of how mature are you? Have you reached that level of maturity where you can take accountability and be okay with it and admit your faults and things that you've done wrong. And a lot of people have a hard time doing that, no matter how old they are. So, like I said earlier, age is really just nothing but a number. Because you can be in your 40s, and I know people that are in their late 30s, 40s that still have a hard time accepting responsibility for their part in things. So, yeah.
Okay, well, let me ask you. Okay, let me take your statement and then go back to Caprice. So, because Tammy, you said that it's a maturity thing. So, I hear you on that part. But now, Caprice, now because you did say right that accountability, mostly the lack of accountability, usually fall on the women a lot. Do you feel that can it be that maybe women are not as mentally or emotionally mature than men, and that's why the accountability kind of lacks on the woman's department?
Well, okay. I just wanted to say something really quick before I answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
So, a part of accountability. So, like the example that I said, holding someone accountable. Like, so let's just say you guys, you said something about that bro code. Bro code has nothing to do with accountability. Just because his friends or the manosphere is not holding him accountable in front of you does not mean that he's not being held accountable. Like the example that Dom gave again, like I call my husband's brother, say, where's my husband? And he said, oh, he's here, even though he's not here. But behind not in front of him, he could be telling him like, hey, this is wrong, like for you be lying to your wife and stuff like that. That's holding him accountable. So the whole notion of like bro code, girl code, I don't believe falls into the category of like accountability. What I mean is like being honest about your faults and being honest and realistic about the things that you've done wrong and holding yourself accountable all in all. I don't know if it has anything to do with maybe you said like maturity or of course it has something to do with maturity, of course. But I don't know. I just believe like, with this whole feminist thing, it's always the man's fault. I believe this is where it started to come into play with the whole like, women not really holding themselves accountable and stuff like that. But I could see what Tammy's going with, and what she said. Maybe it does play a big part of it, but I think that it started from this whole feminist thing, and then it just like started branching off because like I said, us women, we are not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, or we're trying to have that level of company, like, okay, well, it's okay, girl, like, I've done that before too, it's okay, you okay, like that kind of thing, just trying to like sugarcoat stuff, but instead of saying like, hey girl, this is wrong. I've done it before because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and I don't want anybody to snap on me when I should have told that person the truth, like, hey, this is probably wrong on your end. But and yeah, I believe that it has a lot of maturity to do on the person that should be receiving that, the how do you call it, on the receiving end. Yeah, it definitely does. So then I guess maybe so, I don't know.
Well, okay, and then my last question before I get to Queen is that, well, why is it that women give so much grace to another woman when she makes her faults, but then there's no grace when it comes to the mistake of men? Fabrice, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, could you ask me that one more time?
I was saying that, well, why is it that women could give each other enough grace and compassion when they make mistakes, but when it comes to the men, there's no grace in it?
Right, because women, for some reason, feel as though we are so oppressed, we are not protected, we're this and we're that, and that's why we just most women feel as though they've been oppressed, and we didn't have any rights and all that stuff. So it's just like, I'm taking up for the women no matter what, because things that we've been through as women and things like that. And I feel like that's the only thing I can say, that we just feel like we have been so oppressed and we aren't protected. And we, as a Black woman speaking, I can't really speak for the other races, but yeah, that we have been oppressed, and we just have been to the point where like nobody's protecting us again, like nobody's protecting us, and we need to have that sister code type thing. So I guess that's the reason for it. That's the only thing I could think of, if that makes sense. What do you think? You think that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, from your perspective, like it kind of does. I don't want to give too much away of my own thoughts though, because I want like Queen to kind of share.
Can I just ask a question really quick before you move on?
Yeah.
Can we do a segment, and everyone who feels like their ways about feminists, particularly the women, we've had other women feel a certain way about feminists, could they bring on like their friends or close people that they know that are feminists that have these views? Because I don't have any of these views. Like, I don't hate men. I don't think all men are wrong for things because I'm a feminist. Do I think that women are, have gone through a lot just because of not having rights and not being able to speak up? Yeah, hello, people used to get married off at 13. Yeah, so yeah, but I just want to meet, where did these feminists that you guys are meeting come from? Because I've never met these kinds of feminists, and also a lot of these kinds of women that you guys speak about on the stream, like, that are so hurt. And so like I don't got women around me that's like that. Like, can we like bring those women on? Because I would like to meet them, because I'm a little confused half the time. Like, that's not the women I know. Most of the women I know don't act like that or think like that or are like, all these ways. So like, can we do a segment where these women come on? Because I want to meet them. Like, I want to know. Like, because I never met feminists that think these ways. That's it.
Dama versus the feminist, huh? Dama versus the feminist, huh?
I am a feminist, but all these views that every woman has brought on here against feminists, I'm like, I don't feel that way. I've never met a feminist that's ever said that.
God.
Like, I just want to know where these women are, because I've never met them. I know a lot of feminists. I know men that are feminists, and I still never heard these views. So, none of them hate men. I know lesbians that don't hate men. I know the lesbians that love men. They just sexually love women. Like, so I don't know. With these crazy views. They making a bad name for all of us. They making a bad name for me.
Not about the ones you know. There are a lot of feminists out there who are.
Hold on, Queen. Hold on. I'm not gonna stop.
I choose to only talk about the people that I truly know. Like, because if I don't know them, then I can't talk about their views.
Okay.
Hold on, Dom Queen. Hold on. Shout out to Atlanta Thrasher real quick. Got to shout him out. Thanks for jumping on, bro. But Queen, it's on you. Do your thing. Go ahead.
What's the question, M3?
Well, the main, we kind of got derailed a little bit, but the question the last question I asked like Caprice was that do you feel that the lack of maturity comes from the woman's part? Because Tammy said that basically it's not about gender. Well, hold on. Let me go back to number 3. I'm gonna go back to number 3 real quick, because it says which gender has the hardest time taking accountability. What do you think of that? And excuse me.
I think women have a harder time taking responsibility. Because a lot of times we can go through things based on our emotions and how we feel. And, a lot of times our emotions may steer us wrong, but I think women are naturally more emotional. So I think women sometimes may have a harder time taking responsibility, but I do believe that I think what you said, Tammy said, was about maturity. I do think that also plays a part in both genders, maturity. But I think a lot of times we go off of how we feel, So yeah.
Go off. Okay,
So
so
I think women can have a harder time due to going off emotions and stuff like that.
okay, so we have one person who thinks that way. We have you that thinks that way. Then we have Best in the World, and then we have Tammy that thinks it is more oh gosh, I forgot what that word but I get what you're saying. You think that basically oh no, Tammy and Best in the World thinks it's a lack of maturity, and then
Yep.
you guys think it's more on the emotional side. And then Dom just thinks that, just all our fault, So yeah. I guess I gotta get my opinion to it, right?
I ain't say it
So
was all your fault. I'm just
but
Mm.
this how it sounds when nobody's taking accountability, right? Anyways, hold on, let me play that. But I will say, if I go back to the number 3 question, I gotta look at myself. I think that the gender that has the hardest time. Honestly, as much as I want to say, I'll break it down, right? Because part of me do feel like it is a maturity thing, but I can't really say that. I can't really say that it's mostly all women, or it's mostly women. I would have to say, in American culture, I feel like American women are not really held up into a standard where they have a reason to take accountability. And the reason for that is because men don't hold them accountable for the things that they do. And then you have the sister code movement. So when you have both genders that's catering to women, it's like, well, there's no consequences. Where's the consequences if a woman shows up late to a date and the man is telling her, "Oh, it's okay," and then you giving her or still rewarding her for bad behavior because she looks good, or you want to sleep with her someday, and then she doesn't give you anything, then she puts you in a friend zone, and then you're okay with it after you being rejected. And so, you know, I think as far as like especially in the dating market, there is no accountability for women when it comes to that. So we don't give them a chance to mature and grow. You know, which still kind of falls back on um, men not taking the accountability, not men not holding women accountable. So if that makes sense. And Atlanta Thrasher says, and shout out to Atlanta Thrasher as always.
Yeah, definitely. Much love for you too, bro.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Thanks for the
Get the
love, bro.
likes up, people. Get the likes up, y'all. I'll admit this. Every decision I made is 100% my fault. I'm tired of people not taking accountability. My job, education, who I married, my son's existence, my health, finances, and my love for best is all my fault.
Oh, thanks, bro. Appreciate it, man.
Ken Mary says, welcome. Sounds like you are resilient and working on being all right. All right. Japrice in the private comment says she has an example. Okay, Japrice. What's your example?
Okay. So without telling someone else's business, let me just put it in like third person.
Oh,
So
too late.
right. A woman was sleeping with a guy. They weren't like in a relationship, or they're not married, just sleeping with a guy, just having fun. They would spend a night over each other's house. And she went to go get tested, and she ended up finding out she has herpes. She was tested positive for herpes. So this woman put all the blame on the man. Like, he's this, he's that. I can't believe, like, why would he, she wanted to even go file a report and was upset at the police. Couldn't help her any further. And just was like, so upset at the guy, just like sitting out. And I remember saying, like, well, you could be mad at him, but you also have to be mad at yourself. And it was just, it went like left. And I guess that's another reason why it's very hard for maybe most women to like to hold someone accountable or try to like tell that person the truth. And I did want to ask, like, in this situation, who do you think? I mean, because I would say I said, well, you opened your legs to him, you slept with him unprotected. There was things that you should have done that you didn't do. And what if he didn't know that he had it? That kind of thing. And to me, that would be holding yourself accountable and not just pushing blame all on that one person. So what would you guys think that would be who is at fault, or who should hold each other accountable, or in that scenario?
So wait, did she know? Did she know that he had that disease or no?
No. So it was just something was going on down there. She went to the doctor, and just like boom, she found out she has herpes now. Did
he know that he had a disease before he messed with
her? According to her, she called him, and then he was like, "What? You didn't get that from me?" Or like, what do you mean you have that? Because apparently, he didn't know that. I would think that he didn't know, but even if he did know, okay. even if he did know, you were supposed to do your due diligence as a person who's being sexually active. You don't really know this person like that. If you're gonna be having sex, you're supposed to if you're gonna be having unprotected sex, for one, you could have had a baby, but now you got something that you can't get rid of, I believe, and then now I think it's on both ends. But according to the story, is he didn't know that he had it.
He didn't know that. Well, okay.
He knew.
I mean, maybe
symptoms.
So, but
there's symptoms. She had symptoms. He would have symptoms.
Well, no, not so a male carrying a herpes virus doesn't have the same exact symptoms as women. Like most guys don't have like those little bumps because they're not as open as we are down there. So he could
I can't blame
he
her.
He could be carrying it and not have any symptoms, like only an outbreak.
Yeah, I can't blame her for that.
Not everyone with STDs get symptoms. There's some people that get, I know from working urgent care, there's some people that get no symptoms, male or female.
Right, and that's why. Right, and that's why.
Let me answer the question.
He didn't know that he had it.
Wait, hold on, Bess, because Queen had to say something real quick. I'm gonna let Queen.
Hold on, I was answering the question.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I think that you can't blame her for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't blame her for that because, like, she didn't know, and at times, if you're with someone, things happen at times. You know what I'm saying? So, but that doesn't mean that you deserve a disease. Nah, nobody deserves a disease. Nobody deserves that. Like that's detrimental to your health, and it could be life threatening in a lot of ways. So, I wouldn't say it's her fault. I wouldn't blame her for that. I would just say that she just needs to choose better men as far as just her choice of men, possibly. But maybe he's a good guy, and maybe he didn't really even know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. That's an iffy situation. I would need more background as far as just not even knowing.
That's all the background you need.
No. I need more background.
It's 2021. Get your results before you.
Exactly.
You're not hearing what I'm saying.
Take accountable.
You're not hearing what I'm saying. I would need more background as far as his character and her character, because I don't know his character. I don't know if he actually meant to do this or not. So who knows? I don't know. That's what I say, but I wouldn't blame her. Though.
Let me get quick.
No, it wasn't blame. It's she's 100% putting all the blame on him. Like, it's his fault. I hate him. He's stupid. I can't believe. And then men are stupid now. Like, I just can't. So now it's just like, I hate all men. And then it's like, but you have to realize that as a grown adult, you have to take some type of responsibility.
I get what you're saying.
And if you don't, just live that you burning down there and get the medicine and learn from your mistake. But don't be mad at nobody else.
I think they're both at fault.
Go ahead, Queen.
I think they're both at fault. Because if you're gonna sleep around both people, you should take that in consideration, because obviously she's not his only partner because he gave it to her. So I think everyone should be responsible, and I think both people are equally at fault. You know, if he's gonna sleep around, he should know, because I'm quite sure another girl he was with probably had it and probably maybe didn't say nothing. I don't know, but you know, I think both people are at fault, and I think blaming someone else for a mistake that you made that you were equally wrong in is not okay either.
Yeah, I was gonna say like you know, it's easy to say like it's easy to like kind of focus on one side of the party, right? Because on the outward surface, it's like, well, you know, she should have like, you know, told the guy put a condom on. She should have asked for protection. But then you gotta look at the guy. The guy should have, like I said, he should have been well protected. But both parties are at fault. Now, nobody, of course, no one deserves, no matter what mistake that you made at the moment, no one deserves to have a disease, you know, to catch that. And I wouldn't wish that on anyone. But there are preventative actions that could have took place that could have prevented both parties from allowing this virus to spread. And regardless of the guy didn't know or not, he still should have wrapped it up. Like, no pleasure is worth putting your health at risk.
Yep.
You know, and that's the hardest lesson that people will have to live with. You know, now if the guy knew he had it and he did not let the person know, it's still both parties' fault. But now it's more greater for the man, because now you're intentionally spreading that virus, you know, and it will be more of his fault if he knew, that is. So that's all I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, but he didn't know. So this is what I mean by like the whole accountability thing. Like you have, like, I mean, like, you know, there's both parts, and then this situation trickles down to men are stupid. I hate men. Like, I'm done with men. Men are this, men are that. Now men in her eyes are the enemy now. So and this is what happens, you know, when it's like, okay, when you don't see your own responsibility in situations, when situations don't go your way, that's the dice you chose to roll, you know. So you see how that you see how now, Dom, these are the feminists. This is what I would consider a feminist. Like, what do you like? Why, you know, that type of thing. But I know it has a really bad name.
Wait, I missed it. I heard Dom and feminist.
She was doing her example, but Caprice, like, this is where, like, at some given point, you know, when you don't have people to tell you what you are doing wrong and holding you accountable, it's kind of like you have that girl code again. And so it's like, yeah, girl, I agree. This man was a dirty dog. You know, he knew what he was doing before he gave you that. And with that mentality, now you're justifying yourself to give someone else the same amount of disease, because now you have a revenge type of mindset. Oh yeah, well, you know, men are dogs, and you know they're stupid and they don't care. So now I'm gonna give it to the next man that don't deserve it. And so before we begin, we get to DJ Eddie King.
Yeah, can you hear me good?
Yeah.
What's going on? Sorry, y'all, I was late. Traffic, and it's raining, it's storming. Sorry about that.
Oh, good.
What's going on? Dom, what's going on? Tammy! Mr. Best of the World.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yeah, we all here. What is going on, y'all?
Yeah.
Y'all, I got a special guest watching, man. So, you know, the person is watching M3. Did you see what's going on first? Check it out. You know, just to let you know he's watching. Me and you know what we talked about.
Okay, well, good. Well, for the viewer who is watching us, right? You know, just want to say, you know, thank you for tuning in to Knowledge and Relationships here on YouTube on our platform. Give us a like, please. Okay, and then also, if you like us so much and you want to see more exclusive YouTube content, then subscribe and hit the notification bell right here on YouTube. And then if you really love us and you want to support the cause, feel free to donate to these Cash Apps, Venmos, and PayPals. Tonight's subject is called Accountability is Not Judgment. Okay. So, but where I left off. Actually, I need to go jump to the number 4 question for you, DJ Eddie. And this one is, at what point did you decide to make taking accountability a priority?
So is this for the men or the women?
Oh, well, this is for anybody. But from your point of view, when did you make the decision to start taking accountability for your own actions?
When did I make a decision as far as being in a relationship or non-relationship? Or is it anything?
No, to take accountability for your actions.
When?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say, like, it has a lot to do with energy. Your energy. It depends on your energy that you are feeding into the world. And as far as me, man, I'm talking. Sorry, MK. I'm talking to the guy on the other phone. I'm gonna go ahead and let Best in the World handle this because I'm like right in the middle of this conversation with me and this guy. Sorry. Go ahead. Come back to me.
All right, no problem. Okay. I'll come back to you. Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Best in the World, would like to tackle this question for number 4?
Sure. I would say it took me some time. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I would say, I'll say probably like around like when I was in my 30s, I kind of started really seeing more of how my actions affected people. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So like that's really when I really could see the full scope of my action. I think in my 20s, I think I would get so riled up by little different things, and I wouldn't think sometimes about how I was affecting people or how things was affecting people. So I think that, you know, now that I'm older, I understand the full consequences of my actions and just how it affects people and how people, you know, don't like certain things. So, but it was definitely a growing process. Oh, most definitely. You know what I'm saying? So it definitely took me time. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And also for people in the chat too, you know, sometimes we have like, you know, like younger folks and, you know, they may not, you know, understand like, you know, the word of like accountability. And so just, you know, just to show you like, okay, the accountability, because I just looked up in the Webster's dictionary, right? And I think like a better terms of accountability is the fact or condition of being accountable and responsibility. So accountability holds responsibility, you know, liability, answerability, reporting, obedience, right? And the opposite of accountability is pretty much unaccountability. So, you know, think about it in a terms that when you hold yourself accountable, you are partaking in being responsible for your own actions, for your own self as a person. And so I just want to share that into the group because I'm like, oh, you know what? Let me just kind of look deeper into that.
Can I ask a question about that? What you just read?
No.
Don't be a hater. So Just because you mentioned there may be young people, so when you're preaching to young people, I just want them to understand, how young people could take one thing and not, listen to the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned accountability and then you mentioned the word obedience. So can you make that connection where accountability connects to obedience? Because that's
sure. Okay, so I'll give you an example, right? So is basically is obedience is kind of like the same way. It's kind of like submitting, right? I know we usually joke around a lot about you need to learn how to submit, and submit is corroboration, but submit is obedience. Obedience is basically listening, right? So in other words, it's having like an open ear, right? To be able to listen, when people are giving advice. Now, I'm not telling you just do whatever people are telling you to do, but just be willing to be open to look at yourself first and try to apply into that advice. People who are not accountable are not going to be receptive to advice, and they're not going to be receptive to responsibility.
Right. So obedience, that's okay. So now I understand why I'm confused. Obedience, for me, what I thought the word meant, is it does fall into being open to listen, but it's not about being open to listen. For me, obedience and the form of what the word means is following with no comment, no question, no nothing. So that's not being open. That's completely doing. That's completely following, completely letting someone lead you. So I'm still confused on what obedience and accountability, because you can hold yourself accountable but not be obedient. So that's why I was kind of confused. You don't have to be obedient to be accountable.
Look, we're not. Listen. No, but listen. We gotta stay on topic, Dom. We gotta stay on topic. Look. We've had this conversation already. Listen, submissive women will always win. Submissive and obedient women will always win. I'm not going to deviate from that. It's true. They will always win. And I keep telling you that. I keep telling everybody that. Right? They will always win. Okay, they will always win in the end. And the woman who's not submissive will always lose to a submissive woman. You always lose to a submissive woman if you're not submissive. I always keep saying that. But we're talking about accountability. You know what I'm saying?
I know. He said obedience. So I'm asking about accountability and obedience. I ain't asking about submission. I don't care about that topic.
I know you don't.
I just want to know why he mentioned obedience and accountability as though they were, sorry, I took English 2 years ago in college. Synonyms or antonyms, one of the words. The words where they're similar.
Antonyms is like the opposite of it.
Together. I don't know. I just feel like you could have both words without having them together.
Okay, Atlanta Thrasher, to help you out, he says obedience, compliance with an order, request, or law, or submission to another's authority.
That's right, my power. That's right.
Yes. Different than obedience.
Okay, so
spectrums.
Dom, I see what you're trying to do, right? But it's not working. Okay, you are trying to find an excuse, right, to deviate and to make this as a gender war when it comes to accountability. It's not working. So look, let me go ahead and explain this to you one more time, right? Because it's up there. And don't look, and I'm not Webster, okay? Webster put obedience for a reason, right?
Well, what's the reason? Tell me.
I gave you the reason, but I'm going to tell you right now.
The reason is for you. It's for you.
Yeah, because and see, and this is where we get stuck. If you tie in accountability, right, and obedience, okay, when someone is telling you that you need to hold yourself accountable, when you hold yourself accountable to that standard, you are being obedient. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that makes more sense than your earlier explanation. That makes more sense. I got you.
All right, so are you now willing to obey?
No.
You're not taking accountability.
Ali would kill me if I said yes to you. No. Ali would be like, "What you said to that man?" No, I will not obey anything that you say.
That's the problem.
Ali would kill me. My man would be like, "What you said on the stream? You gonna obey who?" No. Sorry,
that's the problem.
Answering that.
Okay, I'm ready.
It
In
is where
three.
we're at the leg of. Okay, good, good, good.
Sorry about that. I was talking to the guy. Okay.
Mhm.
No. Okay. So this is what it is with me.
Yeah.
Well, well, well. Okay. Like I told the story back then. Like when I was homeless at the time when I was in Fresno, and but then when I went to Fresno to visit some family members, I had to follow orders. I had to be responsible for my area, to clean my area and things like that. I had to, just follow specific orders. And but when I did that, I had made a lot of friends. So when I made a lot of friends, we was doing a lot of things. We couldn't I couldn't find a job. Basically the whole Hispanic community had bought out everything down where I was at. So I didn't have any type of money coming in. So the friends that I have, I had like built it. I had built that crew, and we started doing a lot of crazy stuff. And my friends are in jail or back and forth in jail. I felt responsible for that. So far as when that was happening, it caused me to be removed from where I was living at. So I ended up being homeless for three
Mhm.
years. So my mind wasn't really clear until the struggle, what I was going through when I was homeless, man. I think people don't take their word serious when it comes to homeless. So when I was homeless, I started seeing a lot of things clear. I learned the ropes on how to hustle, how to move around, but it taught me a great lesson, you know, and I felt that the things, that I was doing, yeah, I'm accountable for it. It basically is my fault,
Mhm.
but uh, long story short, I had got myself together.
Mhm.
I got myself together. I learned how to remove and because I was kind of a selfish person. I was selfish, when it came to family and things like that. But then when I started seeing things around me when I was homeless, my mind started getting cleared and how important it is for family, even friends. So I started now to this day. I'm taking care of my family and being a lot more responsible for me and the things that I do. Um, so basically, I'm not giving out negative vibes. I'm giving out more positivity to the people around me. I feel like I owe them that for the negativity that I was giving other people back then. Uh, yeah, yeah. So hopefully that makes sense.
No, what you explained basically is that um, like how well no you really explain like when did you start taking accountability into a story that put you in a story where
Situ-
you was in a situation,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then within that situation it is sparked in your
hmm
mind to like understand like, man,
yeah,
these
hmm
people are going through it because now I'm going through it, and I understand
yeah,
where they're coming from.
hmm
So let me get out my situation,
hmm
and then if I'm able to get out, then the next step is now I need to start holding myself to a higher standard,
yeah,
but be able to help the community out.
yeah, yeah,
Because not everybody, you got yourself out because somebody helped you
yeah,
by God's word,
yeah.
at a good timing. But
Woo,
not
good.
everybody is fortunate, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, yeah.
So,
You know my
mhm,
story, man. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
So
hmm
out of gratitude, it's like now I have a personal responsibility to help feed, the homeless and the community.
Yeah.
And honestly, on a side note too, um, I'm not trying to put myself out there like that, but I'm trying to do the like at least like once a week. If I'm able to grab food, like maybe from food drive or whatever, I do want to think about homeless people, because I saw a man that was about that almost got arrested, and he was in handcuffs,
Yeah.
and it really kind of made me sad a little bit, right? Because somebody was just calling the police on him, and he didn't really do anything wrong. It was just by him being homeless. it made people felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and in my mind, excuse me, what happens if I was homeless? I'm not bothering nobody. I just have dirty clothes and I'm just trying to sleep in peace. But when you have cops coming because people are calling and say, "Oh, he's harassing," you're not even doing anything. You're just
Yeah.
trying to get some food. You
Yep.
know, you're just probably trying to ask a question and be friendly, but people treat you lesser. And
Yeah.
so, um,
Mm-hmm.
I never want to. When I see a homeless person, I don't want to be one of those type of people that has a mindset as if I'm better than you because I'm not you. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
100%.
Um. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
BK apologist.
BK, what's going on, BK?
Mitchell, what's
Brooklyn in
going
the
Yeah.
on,
house,
babe?
baby.
BK apology.
Brrrah.
Yeah.
going
I do
on?
have a
Yo,
question because maybe he could kind of break down. I want to go back to the obedience part, right? Just to make sure, right?
uh-oh.
That Damo fully gets it,
Dama.
right?
Before you say that, I have a good suggestion really quick about the homeless, feeding the homeless stuff. My
Okay.
supervisor goes shopping once a month because I'm thinking about doing it too because I buy so much food. She goes shopping once a
Mm-hmm.
month for her family and she buys all this food. So by the end of the month, a lot of that stuff, you know, like they're not going to have it for much longer and she's going to go shopping again. So what she
Mm-hmm.
does is she just cooks all the food that is about to go bad, let's say within the next day or two. She'll
Mm-hmm.
cook all the food and then drive it around and just hand it out to the homeless people that she sees. And I was
Mm.
like, I should do that. I have so much. I give it usually to my clients, but they
Mm-hmm.
got money too. Like I could be giving this to the homeless. I got so much food. All I do is shop, and I shop really good food. That was my
Okay.
quick suggestion.
Yeah, but
All
you
right.
know, in my
Yeah.
situation, M3, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have a tent. I didn't have a tent. I didn't have
Mm-hmm.
anything to sleep under. You know, it was raining, it was storming. At the
Mm-hmm.
time when I was getting food stamps, I didn't even spend the food stamps on me. I spent it on the people when I was homeless.
Aww.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And,
Mm-hmm.
and, and yeah, man, I don't think people understand what that word means because they've never been in that situation.
Yeah.
Mm.
Or some people who have been homeless, but they was fortunate to have a car to sleep in.
Exactly.
You know, but it's a difference when you have a car. That's like your little small mini roof over your head
Yeah.
versus when you're out there in the streets.
Yes.
Okay, I want
Yes.
people to kind of marinate that. When you don't have a car and you're homeless, and you're out there on the streets with nothing, okay, but your bare clothes. There is nothing you could do, especially when you're out there in the rain. No
Yeah.
cardboard box is going to save you. That
Mm-hmm.
box is going to get wet, and then it's going to be a wrap.
And
Okay.
and being homeless does not mean okay you get kicked out of your parents' house and then move to your auntie house.
No.
That's
Yeah.
not being homeless. That's some people are calling it that, but that's not what
Mm-hmm.
that is.
Mm-hmm.
So
Being homeless is just
being on the
unfortunately
street.
kind of put yourself in an unfortunate situation. You could
Yeah.
have a house today and then forget to pay and not pay your mortgage for 9 months. Sorry, not 9 months. 3 months, and
Yeah.
then you be out there in the streets because no one wants to take you in.
Yeah.
So I'm yeah. I don't mean to go in deep into that, but I want people to kind of understand, you know, the level of that. You know
I'm gonna give
that.
a little bit of pushback on that. I'm gonna give a little bit of pushback on that because you
Okay.
could be homeless and still
Mm-hmm.
be in somebody else's home. You know what I'm saying? If it's not your
No.
home, you know what I
No.
mean?
No. You got a roof
But
over
let me
your head.
finish. Let me finish.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
in my experience, I was homeless and I was in somebody's home, but I was sleeping on the kitchen floor. You know what I'm saying?
You
And
said you
sleeping on
slept
somebody's
where?
kitchen floor, yeah, sleeping on somebody's
That's
kitchen floor is not fun. You know what I mean? It's not fun at all.
it's a
You know what I
roof.
mean?
What the hell? They couldn't
And
give you a
It's a
bed?
roof. It's a roof. It's a roof
yeah,
though.
they couldn't give me a
Oh, okay.
bed, and you know at that because the house was full, so the only place they had was their kitchen floor. You know what I'm saying? And that was super
Okay.
humbling. I had to walk miles for the bus. I had to walk to the train. I had to walk everywhere, man. Like it was humbling.
Yeah.
It was humbling, and it
Mm-hmm.
was a difficult time. I called my family for help. They wouldn't help me. You know what I'm saying? Like it was crazy, man. It was crazy.
Yeah.
So anytime you're in a dire situation, it's painful. It's hurtful. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
nobody wants to live like that. You know what I mean? Nobody
Mm-hmm.
wants to live like that. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. You You know what I mean? Like
Right.
because at the end of the day, everybody wants to have their own and be able-bodied. When you don't have your own, you're not able-bodied. It takes a lot out of you. It takes a toll on you. It changes you. You know what I mean? So when I finally got my own, oh man, I was grateful, man. I was grateful. You know what I mean? I could have kissed the floor when I got my new place. I think I actually did. I think I did probably, but I was just so grateful, man. I wasn't worried about nothing else, man. I wasn't worrying about nothing else. I was just so grateful that God had blessed me with my own place, and I didn't have to sleep on nobody's floor. I didn't have to walk for miles for the bus. The train station was like right there, literally. Like everything was perfect. You know what I mean? Like everything in my life turned around. I definitely thank God for that, most definitely. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah.
But
the rest of the song started from about now we're here.
But
Yeah.
have you ever slept outside?
No, I'm not. It got almost got to that point. It almost did.
That's
It almost definitely got to that point. It was
Oh,
to the
somebody's
point
phone
where,
ringing.
yeah, I don't know whose phone that is, but yeah, it almost got to that point. You know what I mean? And I had to, I had to consider maybe moving into the space where I kept my storage at, like, and maybe sleeping in my storage unit. Like, it got real bad, man. It got super bad. You know what I mean? And I was frustrated, man, but there was nothing I could do. Only thing I had was that kitchen floor, and so that kitchen floor became my solace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I said, I won't wish that on anybody, whether they're outside on the kitchen floor, whether you're in somebody's basement, whatever you are.
Thank you
If
guys. Get
you
the
don't
mics
have your
up.
own, and you destitute, and you gotta work and save all your money. I mean, I had to save literally all my money. Like I couldn't buy anything. Only thing I could buy was like soap and basic utilities and food. That was it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's rough, man. I won't wish that on nobody.
Yeah. Hold on. I gotta get to BK apologies real quick. And I thought Jabriz was in there. Oh, I think she. Okay. Yeah, Caller Metro. Hold on, Caller Metro. Right. Jabriz, I just sent the link to you. So if you're not in here, join in. BK apologies. I want to ask you a question because I think you're the right man who could probably answer this.
Try.
In the synonyms of accountability, it has responsibility, liability. Oh, actually, can you see this? Yeah, liability, answerability, reporting, and then there's obedience. And then the opposite of that is, of course, unaccountability. But where does obedience tie into accountability?
Well, if you have decided to obey, right, and you've decided to do that, and now I can hold you responsible to what you've decided to be obedient to. So let's say you said the doctor told you to eat a certain way, and you said that you're going to obey that new eating regimen, right? Now the doctor the next time he sees you, he could be like, hey, you said that you're going to eat this certain way. It's been 2 weeks. How have you been doing that? So now that you've decided to obey it, he can now hold you responsible for what you've decided to obey. Right?
Yeah.
But the issue, another issue though, the title of your show is actually self-refuting. Right? Accountability is not judgment. That's a judgment.
So you saying holding someone accountable is judgment, you saying? But
saying accountability is not judgment is a judgment in itself. So it's self-refuting.
Okay. Do you mind if you kind of explain that?
Well, I mean, judgment is making a decision. Right? And accountability is what we saw holding someone responsible. So with those definitions in mind, it's responsibility is not a decision. Responsibility is a decision. Irresponsibility is also a decision. So either way, you're still making a judgment call.
Yeah.
So it's still, your statement, accountability is not judgment, is a judgment call. So it cannot uphold to the very thing it's trying to say. So it collapses. So it's self-refuting.
Well, that's a moment where it breaks the internet.
Colin, what's up, my boy? Colin, what's going
Can I
on,
say
man?
something to that? Like a small little pushback?
Colin.
Yeah. So Colin, yeah, Japrice. All right, Japrice she's gonna
Well,
give the pushback. Go ahead.
yeah. So I would say, I mean, accountability could often be the same thing as judgmental as being as judgment, but however, it's not. I would say because it's like an obligation to pretty much like accept responsibility or to account for someone's action, where it is judgment is like defined as like a tendency to judge in a bad way.
Well, that's the connotation you've put, but that's not the actual definition of the word.
Mm.
The actual definition of judgment is the ability to make considered decisions or come to sensible conclusions. So when he says accountability is not judgment,
No, so I
he's
put a
making a
question mark.
conclusion. But he's saying that accountability is not a conclusion. So therefore it collapses upon itself. It is self-refuting.
Okay.
See, I don't even debate with BK no more. Because it's pointless. Because I've tried to have jokes and debate with him, and it's gotten me nowhere. So I just tap out. I'm like, you said the sky's red. Yeah, you're right, bro.
Nah, it's gotta be like that.
I mean,
judgment is easier than accountability.
And you just made another judgment. So cool.
What happened? What'd you say?
It's a judgment call.
It's a judgment call.
Wake up, Queen.
Judgment call.
Wake up, Queen.
You know where I'm at.
He out here exploring people's brains and all this with this one, right? Because that
you gotta pull out your tablet and take notes.
It's not even like that, guys. Come on, fine.
Yeah, man, you just chase Dominique away, man.
No, I didn't even know Dominique left to go.
So this BK said it's a judgment call, and she left.
Yo, I ain't know she even skedaddled though.
Eddie.
Yeah.
I was gonna respond to what you were saying about being homeless and not having a shelter. The definition of homelessness is different. It's basically lacking appropriate and stable housing. That's what society deems as homeless. I understand what you're saying, but that's not what, in order to get services, you don't have to live in a tent. You just have to have unstable and inappropriate living situations. So you can still have a roof over your head and still be considered homeless. But I understand what you're saying. But I understand what you're saying. But I'm just saying, in the social service field or in this field that I'm in, the people that I work with now, even though they have a roof over their head, they're still considered homeless, and that's what they're labeled as, even though they have a temporary roof over their head. But I understand what you're saying.
See, it's a different energy when you are out in the streets. And then being in the shelter.
I get it. I totally agree.
I don't know who came up with that word, who created that word. They should change it up a little bit.
Yeah, they should.
Created what word?
Homeless.
The definition for what homelessness is.
Oh.
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah, it's crazy times when you out there sleeping on the bench in the rain. You need covers for newspapers. I'm telling you, it's real. It is no joke out there.
No, it ain't.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me get to Colin Mitchell, right?
What's up, Colin?
Hello, fam. How are y'all?
Good.
Colin?
What's going on with our boy, man?
Living, dude. I'm just grinding school, and I'm thinking about now getting my master's in marketing. So we're in the process of me deciding what's more important in life, if work experience is more important, or if me pursuing my master's right after college is more important. But
see if you can get an internship.
That's what my parents were talking about. They're like,
Yep.
maybe work for 2 years, get that experience, see if you think you can do it without a master's, and after you do that, if you think you need a master's, go get a master's.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Mhm.
I read the title and I was like, accountability is not judgment. And the first thing that came into my mind, I don't know about y'all, but like, I think accountability and like respect is the same exact thing. And it's like, because in my opinion, if I hold someone accountable, I have respect for that person. But also, if I respect that person, they should hold themselves accountable. And it's like, I know that's like very like cliche, but it's like, I don't think you have to have respect for the other person to hold them accountable, if that makes sense. I think if you don't have respect for that person, you can't hold that person accountable. But I think like accountability, like it takes it for me, especially for me, like I have to know you, I have to trust you, I have to love you for me to like even like hold you accountable, if that makes any sense. But I was like, I saw the title, I was like, oh, I would love to come in here and listen.
Right. Okay, Colin, I'm gonna ask you two questions, right? One, and excuse me, if our brains got fried, courtesy of BK, but do you feel like accountability is judgment, or do you feel like it's not about judgment? And then the second question is, if you don't mind kind of sharing, like, what would your life would have been if you never took accountability for your own actions in your past life? Would you still be pursuing school, or will you be somewhere else in life?
So, firstly, I would say I'm looking up the definition of judgment. So I think I do want to say accountability is judgment
Okay.
because I mean, looking up, I think BK said this, but I think in order for me to hold someone accountable, I've come to conclusions of that person.
Mm-hmm.
I have, like, I know that person. I have come to a conclusion. I can trust that person. So it's like, if I did not trust that person, I came to that conclusion, like that I'm not going to hold that person accountable. Um, and I would say in my past life, you know, I mean, I'll be honest. My story is going to be a lot different. Growing up in a predominantly white area of town,
Mm-hmm.
um, I really haven't had to be like accountable of my actions because I drive down the road or where I live in my area. It's it's predominantly white, and we haven't had to. I could get out a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of mistakes. Don't get me wrong, and I have suffered the consequences of them. Um, but I don't. I would say like I never held myself accountable. I never thought about my actions,
Mm-hmm.
and I think now that I'm 22 and a lot of like I'm about to step into I mean, I'm considered an adult, but like once I graduate college, I'm about to step into the real world where, I was lucky enough to have my dad behind me, my mom behind me. So like, they could guide me and they could, if I did mess up, they'd be like, hey, this is your life lesson. Or hey, they would bail me out.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm about to make that step to where if I mess up, I mess up. That's on me. Like, and I got to learn from it.
Right.
And I, there was it was in high school. No, this was saw junior year of college. This was it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago. I went out with my friend's 21st birthday, or his 21st birthday, and I got really, really drunk, and for the last 2 hours, I was drinking water, sobering up, and then I made the decision to drive. And I was like, and in my headspace, I was like, I can drive. There's nothing wrong with it, and drove, hit a median, totaled my car, and I think that was the first big realization of I could have gotten arrested for DUI. I could have killed somebody. I could have killed myself. And like it was, I think up until a couple months down the road, I then realized I was like, I gotta hold myself to a higher standard. Like I can't be doing that stuff anymore. And I got lucky, and none of that happened. I didn't get in. I got in trouble, but I don't think I've ever taken responsibility of my actions. I have always tried to sweep it under the rug, to say, like I really haven't taken responsibility of my actions. But growing older, I'm like understanding that everything you do in life has consequences. And I have to, it's like, I'm the type of person that like says before they think, whether it talks before they think, or I forgot the phrase, the saying. And it's I really gotta start understand. I really gotta start taking responsibility of my actions, because I don't do that. And then the other issue is I take other people's responsibilities, and I think that their burden is my burden, but in reality, it's like I don't need to completely take on the full burden. But I hope that answered the question.
Great answer, man.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna get to number 6, but Colin, thank you for answering that. Oh, let me see. Let me read this. Best of all, you mind if you read this for me?
Yes, sir. Holding oneself accountable is eternal. It is its 10th strict. No one outside needs to be influenced by personal decisions to take responsibility for one's own actions. All right. To be accountable, there has to be a standard, which is a comparison. Comparing answers, contrasting calls for a level head on what is right, wrong, or even what feels good or hurts.
Okay. Right. Let me get to the number 6. Tammy, wake up. Are you here? Do you believe that someone that chooses not to take responsibility, you had a good nap, takes accountability is someone that can be trusted? Why or why not?
You're muted.
You're muted.
Oh, I didn't know I was answering the question.
Yeah, he called you, bro.
No, I'm over here trying to get some paperwork and stuff done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm trying to get some paperwork stuff done. Do I believe that someone that chooses not to take? No, I do not think they can be trusted. Because they never see anything wrong in what they do. So, and in order to take account, you have to be able to see the wrong you do and be able to make changes so you can do better. So somebody who doesn't take accountability, they never see that they do anything wrong. They never see that, that they need to do anything different. They think that who they are and what they do is perfectly fine. And I feel like that's a dangerous person, because you have to be able to see when there are changes that need to be made. You have to be able to see when something you're doing is not okay, and address that and take the active steps to do things differently. So somebody who doesn't take accountability is not somebody who's willing to do that. And you have to be willing to do that. And that's the problem. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't trust somebody who constantly put the blame on other people without putting the blame back on themselves. I couldn't trust somebody like that. I probably wouldn't even want somebody like that around me.
Okay. Let me ask Dom this, right? Because I want to get her thoughts as well too.
Hello.
And things. Dom, do you believe that someone that chooses not to take accountability is someone that can't be trusted?
First, let me say, Eddie, thank you so much for being open and sharing that, and I love you just a little bit more. Now to the question.
Yeah.
Now to the question. I would say you know what I'm gonna say. It depends, not on all things, because I'm gonna be honest. Like, there's some things that me and my boyfriend, we both have things that we don't take accountability for, but they're very tiny things. Like, for me, it'll be little things like, I don't know, what does he always say? Oh, like, I never pay for anything. Like, sometimes I pay for things that I barely ever, and I'm always like, I do pay for stuff. I do, when I know I really don't. So that's me not taking accountability for the fact that I don't like to pay for stuff. So it's like little things like that. I don't think that makes me not trustworthy. He knows that, so I think it depends. Like, little tiny things, we all have the things that we act like we don't do, but we know we do. So I think it just depends on what it is that makes that person trustworthy or not. Because he got things he does too. Like, he says he doesn't start with me. He knows he starts with me. So he's not being accountable, taking accountability for what he does. So it's like, I think it just, but that doesn't mean I don't trust him. He knows he starts with me. I know he starts with me, and then he gets to smoke and he be mad. So it's like, it's I don't know. It depends. It depends on what the thing is that they're not taking accountability for. If he couldn't take accountability for things like, I don't know, like why he is getting fired from another job, or why is he's never gotten fired. But if those are kind of things he wasn't being accountable for, then I wouldn't trust him. Then yeah, that's a totally different story. So yeah, I think it depends on what it is you're talking about.
Okay, hold on. Let me
Hold
on. Let me take what you just said, right, and then just ask Tammy this, right? Tammy.
Wait, before you go to Tammy, hold on. I gotta see something down real quick.
Okay,
everybody, if you like that, Damo show's coming November 13th. On knowledge and relationship.
Oh, Dom got a show coming? I'm gonna be there.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun.
I thought it was. Yep, you're right. November 14th, the Damo show, right?
November 13th.
Oh, 13th. Okay, yeah, tune in to the Damo show.
That shit get y'all canceled.
Wait, what?
No, it ain't canceled. No.
I didn't say that.
Wait, okay, hold on, guys. I gotta get back to it, and then she'll be back. And then let me get to Tammy, right? Tammy, because I know you said earlier that someone who doesn't take accountability should not be trusted, but Damo is saying that it's the little things that can be trusted, but the major things that cannot be trusted. So by you saying that people who don't take accountability should not be trusted, are you including those levels? I
would say like little things that aren't impactful, I wouldn't necessarily include. I mean, like, if you didn't, if you forgot to clean the kitchen or something like that. I didn't do it because of whatever reason. Like, not taking accountability for that is not the same thing as you're in a relationship and things aren't going right. You say, well, this person should have did this. They should have did this. If they would have done this, it's different. So I do feel like there are levels when it's something small. It's not necessarily as impactful as when it's something big. So I do think there are levels. There can be levels to it. So well, like for instance, if you are constantly in a back, like let's say you have a friend of yours and you guys are just having an argument and your friend is trying to talk to you about, trying to point out some things that you should have done differently. and you're constantly just, well, you know, if you would have said this, it would have been this. If you would have did this, and it's like you're still not saying what you should have done differently. It's constantly, let me blame you for this, let me blame you for that. I don't have no fault in this, even though I was fully there. It's not my fault. You should have done this differently. You should have did that. You should have said that. And you're never just sitting there and say, you know what? Maybe if I wouldn't have reacted this way, it wouldn't have escalated. Maybe if I hadn't said something back to you, it wouldn't have kept going. So that's the thing, is that it's dangerous because you're not seeing any fault in anything. You're constantly putting the blame on somebody else. And you have to, there are times when you have to really sit back and reflect on yourself and the things that you've done wrong. And people that are not willing to do that are people that can't be trusted. You have to do self-reflection. You have to. When it comes to the way you interact with people, when it comes to the things that you've said, you have to reflect on that and see, could I have done something differently? And be honest about what you could have. Because some people will say, well, you know, yeah, I thought about it, but no, I couldn't have done anything differently. You're not being honest with yourself. You're still not taking accountability. So you have to do that honest and intentional self-reflection and really be honest about what things need to be changes. Because that's the problem, is that once you notice that and you decide to make those changes and you intentionally do that, then that's good. You're taking accountability for yourself and your actions, and you're making active choices to do something different. But like I said, when you're not willing to do that, that's dangerous.
I see.
But it's the little things that add up that make the issues. It's the little white lies that you keep telling that become a bigger lie. You know,
I mean, I hear what you're saying.
But Dom said it depends on the situation. She said it depends.
Yeah, because I tell little white lies all the time.
I'm talking. You want to go? Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Queen. No, Queen, go ahead. Go ahead. Queen, go ahead. Go ahead, Queen.
But it's the little things. You know, like when you get in the habit of lying when there's no need to lie about little things, they become bigger things because you become a liar. All you do is lie. You lie about everything. So that's the issue. Accountability is, you know, when you say, oh, it's okay, you know, blah, 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 da, 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 you know, it's not so much as it's okay. It may be okay the first time, but when it becomes the third, the fifth, the sixth, the seventh, the eighth, the ninth, the 10th time, then it becomes an issue. So it's not about, you know, letting the little things go, because, you know, most issues become bigger issues because of the little things, the little irritants, the little things people do that no one says anything about, and then it becomes a bigger issue. That's all I'm saying. So I don't believe in it, you know, the little things. There's no such thing as a little white lie, because that little white lie has to be accompany another little white lie. So now that little white lie has become a bigger white lie. It's like pouring water in your living room. If you keep pouring water in your living room, you're gonna say, oh, it's just a little spill. It's just a little spill. It's just a little spill. And before you know it, the damn spill has become a pool now. Well, that's the way I look at little white lies. If you don't need to tell it, why do it?
If you let the water dry, though, then it doesn't become a pool, right? Because
no, then you got mold in your house.
Hold on, Queen Dama, hold on, Queen Dama, hold on, y'all, hold on.
If you do it multiple times, it's different.
Wait, hold on. We haven't heard from M3 yet. M3, please.
Hold on. Don't go at it.
Listen. That's just like if I come home and the dishes is not washed, and let's just say did wash the dishes because she didn't feel like it. I wouldn't even trip. That's petty. She could, because the next day she might wash the dishes tomorrow. That's small. That's just small to me. But if it constantly happens, then you can have that conversation.
But that's what I'm saying. It's when it continues to happen. Usually people who tell little white lies, they keep saying that because they have to tell more little white lies. It becomes a habitual behavior issue.
That's only if you
it
have
becomes
to.
a behavior issue. It does. It
It's
does.
if you have
I
to.
think most divorces end. It's because of those little stupid white lies, those little irritants that people don't be honest about. Oh, that bothered me. Oh,
Well,
you'll be
well,
okay.
well,
You'll be okay. And then before you know it, they're not okay.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on
well,
one second.
sometimes you
Hold
do
on.
gotta tell lies.
Hold
You
on,
gotta tell
hold on
lies
one second, y'all.
sometimes.
You
I
If you got
lie
if
all
you
the
got your
time.
if you got your homegirl
Hold on one
sit up
second,
and
y'all.
telling you that your hair
Hold on.
looks good, and
DJ
you
Eddie,
know
hold on, bro.
I'm
Hold
telling
on.
you that it looks good, but I'm
DJ
lying
Eddie,
to you.
hold on, bro. Hold on one
Okay.
second. Hold on one second. Hold on.
Then you
Hold on.
foul.
Hold on,
Okay.
Queen.
Okay.
Queen,
Hold on. All right. All
hold
right. Time out real quick.
Queen, hold on. Hold
All
on
right.
one second. Hold on.
All right. What's the best in the
Damo,
world?
go ahead. What were you saying, Damo? Go ahead.
Oh, I tell little white lies all the time. So I'm a liar, and me and my boyfriend gonna break up because these little white lies that I've been telling for 3 years, and our honeymoon phase we still in. I tell little white lies all the time. Y'all already know this. So
Those
just
are
pray
those.
for my relationship and pray for me and my man, because we about to be done with all these little lies I've been
But
telling.
look, but
I mean,
look, but look, but look.
I just
Sometimes you
think
gotta lie.
you're whatever.
And then I told him,
Sometimes you got to. You know,
yeah,
for
sometimes I don't
You
want to answer
good?
him
You
because I'm
good?
annoyed.
Go ahead,
Oh,
Mario. You good?
But look, listen. Sometimes you gotta lie on certain situations. You know, if y'all got a whole bunch of homegirls saying, "Look, your hair looks good, girl," you know, and they just telling you that, and you know, I'm only telling you, yeah, it looks good, but in my mind, it don't look good. The only reason why I lie to you is because I don't want to hurt your feelings. You know, feelings because you know
Then you're
Right.
not a
feelings are
friend.
emotional,
You're not
so
a
I don't want to hurt
friend.
your
You're not a
feelings.
friend.
Okay,
You're
and
not a
then
friend.
and
You
then by
lie to
I'm
me
being
and tell me
truthful,
something
it
looks good
turns
and it
into a
don't.
bigger
You're not a
issue.
friend.
And
You're a
it
friend to
turns into
me.
a bigger
You're a
issue. So,
friend to
so
me.
sometimes
You're a
I
friend to
have to
me.
lie. Not
You're
all
a
the
friend
time.
to me.
I'm
See,
saying
You ain't no
sometimes when I
friend.
got to.
That ain't no friend.
I don't think I
That
ever
ain't
I
lied.
no
got to, because if
friend.
I want to watch Netflix
Hold
and I
on.
leave
Hold
you on my
on. Hold
line, I'm
on.
lying.
Hold on.
Wait, hold
Okay.
on. I want
Is it?
to hear what Damo said. Go ahead, Damo.
I
This
said
is power.
I lie all the time because listen, my boyfriend, we are obsessed with each other. We literally are obsessed with each other. We speak like 5 times a day. But sometimes I'm in the middle of my show and he don't give a care in the world about my show,
Oh my
and he's bothering me on purpose. I'd be like, babe, I'm mad high, I'm mad tired. Oh, okay, and then he knows I'm just watching Netflix. So
wow.
Good.
he do the same thing to me. Oh, babe, don't you feel like you want to go take a nap? He really just want to go watch the game. I already know.
Yeah, and then you know, and then as far as cooking food, you know, you may cook a nice little meal, but then I might have to tell you that it tastes good. But then if I say, listen, it's a little salty, it's gonna be World War III.
Cause I'm gonna
So
get
sometimes I
salty.
gotta lie.
Right.
I
I'm
gotta
gonna
lie.
be salty.
Exactly. That's different, right? Sometimes you gotta lie about certain things. That's all I'm saying.
See, okay, so this is
Wait.
why
Hold on. Colin
maybe.
has some. Go ahead, Colin.
Hold on,
Wait,
let's get to Colin.
Okay.
Go, Colin.
so I don't know. Maybe, dude. Whenever my girl was like, "Hey, how do I look in this?" It depends. If I thought she looked really good, I'd be like, "Hey, that looks great." But when she looks at me and goes, "Hey, I want your honest opinion. How does this look? Should I wear it out tonight?" If she's like, "Do you like when there's a clear line when we were in a relationship?" She was like, "I want your opinion," and then when she's like, "I want your honest opinion," I'm like, "She said it. I want your honest opinion." So sometimes I'm like, and then sometimes I'm like, I don't think that goes together, or that does not look good. And she never got mad about it because she's like, "Hey, thank you for your opinion. Thank you for actually telling me."
Well, it's only because she haven't spent like $600 on the boots and $200 on some stockings, $500 on her hairdo. So she's dressed up like that. She says she wants your honest opinion. She just spent like $2,000 on her.
Okay, that's not
So I know that, but I'm just saying she shows you the receipts of $2,000 that she just spent on. Like, honey, how do I look at this? Even her girls is telling her, "Oh yeah, girl, you look good," even though she don't. But she's asking you, what is your honest opinion?
But wouldn't
She
that
just
make
spent
me
a whole
trust?
check on herself just now. Not
And you
even
know
on
what I
bills.
would tell her?
Go
I
ahead,
would tell her,
Colin.
do you have the receipt? Do you have the receipt?
She
Yes
showed
or
the
no?
receipt. Yeah, she showed the receipt.
Okay,
But wouldn't,
good.
Yeah.
but
And now
wouldn't
tell her to
that,
take it back.
but wouldn't that trust be a lot
I know
like?
you would say that. I know you would say that, but I'm just saying sometimes they might be in a good ass mood,
But am I
having a good
crazy
day.
to think if you're actually honest, like you
No,
would go through?
Yes,
that's not.
Colin. Yes.
No,
Like if you're
I'm
that's
just
not
playing.
crazy. That's not crazy. That's not crazy at all. Hold on. Before anyone else answers, we haven't heard from Caprice in like a minute. Caprice, what are your thoughts on this?
I thought it was like, yikes.
She said, "Yikes!"
Honestly, no, it was just a lot going on. So I really am like kind of lost. I mean, but I'm listening to what you guys are saying, but um, I don't have anything to say right now. Like, I'll just wait for the next question, or I'll just wait until you want me to answer that question.
Basically, is it okay to have little white lies? Is it okay?
Yeah, I mean, like a white lie as far as like saying like, well, what? Can you give me an example?
You want your honest opinion. Do I look good or not in this dress? Do you want the guy to tell you look good, or do you want the honest opinion?
Yeah, I would want my husband to tell me the truth.
Right. But if you want to watch Netflix, Japrice, right? And your husband want to have this long drawn conversation, and you in the middle of binge watching at home, drinking a glass of wine, and he's on his way home, and he can tell you when he gets there, you're in the last 5 minutes of Real Housewives or something, whatever it is. You're not gonna be like, oh babe, yeah. So I'm a little tired. Tell me when you get home, just so you can watch that last 5 minutes real quick.
Yeah.
Then you're married.
Right.
Y'all be trying to do. You women be trying to do this. I don't know what's going on, but some of you be trying to do this little mind control thing with men, where y'all want to control certain things. You know what I mean? I don't get this whole thing with y'all, man. But I gotta pass the rock to M3, because M3 has been radio silent. I gotta hear you. Go ahead.
All right, so I'll answer this, right? So do you believe that someone that chooses not to take accountability is someone that can be trusted? Why or why not? So, man. All right, so you already know I always have my stories, right?
Third time.
All right, so there's always a woman, right, who can't take accountability even if her life depends on it. And she would rather throw you under the bus and your entire family under the bus too, just so she could get out of her so-called little white lies, right? But the little white lies become big black lies. No racial.
It depends.
No, but that's where it starts at, right? You start off by saying this little thing, then the thing is it escalates because when you have to retell the story, you forget. Unless you're a really good master manipulator and you're a very professional a professional liar, then I'm like, okay, you can kind of get away with it. But a lot of times when you're telling these lies, you're telling your own version of the story. And if you can't keep up with the story and you forget, you're gonna be slipping, know. And so what people will try to do is they will do the hardest they can, right, to get themselves out of the situation and then blame you for that. So numerous times, people will say, oh, I feel about such and such, or don't tell this person about what I feel. But then when the truth comes out, and the person knows how they feel, they want to throw you into it. Well, I told such and such, I told Mario about this, or I told Mario about that, or you telling me, don't tell this person, and then you expect me to give a little white lie to her, and then that person comes to you, and then you want to start telling the truth, and then you want to flip it. Well, we shouldn't be lying anyway. Why would we lie? We lying because you love to lie. Okay, you can't tell the truth for your life depend on it. So
it depends. For example, somebody maybe talking smack. Let's just say somebody, my sister's talking smack about my wife talking smack about my sister. They both asking me, well, what did she say? What did she say? I say nothing. I'd be like, no, she didn't say anything. Even though I'm lying, but I'm keeping a war from, I'm stopping a war from happening. So it depends on the situation.
Well, I think in that situation, right, you're not really, well, here's the thing, right? There's two ways of how you could say it, right? Because the thing is, you're technically putting yourself out of the equation, right? And you're not trying to start World War IV or 16 with these people, right? For me, you know, normally what I would tell people is none of your goddamn business. All right. And don't put me in your business. That's all I will say to end that, you know, whereas, well, I'm not lying, you know, but I'm also telling you is that don't put me into your drama because that is not my business. And I ain't telling you jack. Squat, what happens?
But
You're gonna have to deal
technically,
with it.
it kind of is your business because it's your wife, you know. So it's kind of technically is a little bit.
It ain't none of her business either. You know, you don't need to know. You know,
Damn.
I'll tell the same thing, and I'll tell the other person. It ain't none of your business. You know, if you want to know the source, go talk to the other person about it. But keep me out of it. You know, I ain't trying to be involved with no one else's catfights again. You know.
So if you was at a police station and they ask you some questions, let's just say you get a lawyer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they want and you get you in the court and you got your lawyer talking, and then the judge asking you a few questions. You've seen certain things, but they're asking you questions about what happened. What are you going to say? Even though you don't want to be in that drama, but what are you going to say?
Oh, you said like
because if you let's just say if you was in that situation, you've seen something that you weren't supposed to see, but you're in court. You know, you got your lawyer and stuff in court. Your lawyer's talking for you. Now you have an opportunity to talk thanks to the judge. Now he's asking you the same questions he's asked the lawyer. What are your response going to be? Are you going to lie and say, "Well, I didn't see anything," or are you going to tell the truth and make a bigger problem for yourself?
No, I'd rather just tell the truth. And the reason why for that is that
that's how you create a problem. That's how. But then that's why small little itty bitty teeny weeny lies is okay to stop a war from happening.
Well, the thing is, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. If you're talking about that situation, because here's the thing, you know, the reason why I rather say something, right? Because one, I don't give a damn when the other person go to jail. You know, two, let's just say I saw something, right, that happened, and let's just say the person did something that was criminating, right? And now I'm like, okay, I don't want to be a snitch or whatever, right? Now the thing is, the person probably already know maybe where I live or you know who I am or whatever, because see, the police is going to try to put me in a situation where they're going to try to throw me under the bus, even if I don't tell anyway. So let's just say I decide not to tell, right? So the interrogator gets upset. So the interrogator, even though I did not snitch, he'll go ahead and tell that person, oh, this person said this, and that about you, to get that person riled up. And that person is thinking that I snitched. Now, that person got away because there's no evidence, right? But see, now the person's going to try to come after me, and then I'm going to smoke his ass. Well, I ain't about to go out like that.
Well, this is the thing. See, the police can't do certain things, but the guy that you rat on could. You know, just because you throw him in jail don't mean that the war is over. You know, it's easy for him to get several phone calls. He's in the gang. So how do you get out of that situation? They know where you live.
Hold on. Pause. We're not doing this conversation. Because M3, I don't want you to incriminate yourself. DJ Eddie, I don't want you to incriminate yourself.
I ain't incriminating myself. We're not incriminating nothing.
No.
We're just talking examples.
No, listen. Because, you know, M3 said he was smoking or whatever. No. I'm not even going down that lane. M3 ain't even mean that. We cool. We good. You don't want no drama?
Allegedly. Okay, we'll say allegedly.
Eddie, I got your bill.
Well,
okay.
One person I want to go to jail is Damo.
Yeah. You know,
we got the t-shirts. Read out with t-shirts.
I'm making it watch.
I'm gonna just say this. I'm gonna answer a real question.
Yeah.
If somebody, I'm not gonna let my wife and somebody argue about anything. Like that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna check both parties. I'm gonna let them know what it is, and we're gonna move on. Like at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, especially if it's another family member or somebody I consider family, like a close friend or something, I'm not even gonna let that happen. I ain't even gonna go that far. I'm like, look, this is what it is. You know what I mean? This is your part in it. This is her part in it. Y'all need to get this squash off top. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna let my sister argue with my wife. Like that ain't gonna happen because at the end of the day, you know, I'm I'm just too much of a man for that. Like, I'm just not gonna let that happen. Like, you know what I mean? Y'all, y'all can be women, y'all can be in your feelings, but at the end of the day, y'all need to resolve that. Because at the end of the day, y'all not, you're not gonna cause chaos because you're mad about something somebody does or somebody has a preference or whatever. If you don't like that person, talk about it, deal with it, get past it. You know what I mean? Like, have a conversation. It's very easy. And if you need me to moderate, I'll moderate and we'll get it settled. I actually did a moderation like a week ago with like 3 of my family members. And we talked about some stuff that we had to hash out. We hashed it out and we moved on. You know what I mean? So, anything can be hashed out with a conversation. It's very easy. It may take some time. It may take more than one conversation, but you can definitely get it hashed out. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm not gonna let the situation even escalate because one, I gotta live with my wife, and then two, at the end of the day, I gotta also be around my siblings. So yeah, I ain't even gonna let the situation get out of hand. As far as law enforcement, yeah, I don't partake in none of that, man. I don't have enough people in my family, including one of my parents, do enough jail time for the both of us and prison time for both of us, so I'm cool. I don't even get involved in none of that stuff, man. Like, if somebody's doing something crazy out in the streets, man, I really, distance myself from that, and I don't really have nothing to do with it or anything to say about it or anything. Like, I'm cool. You know what I mean?
It's
I'll make this clear before we move on with the prison stuff, right? Now, I'll just say this. It depends, right? Because remember, it's situational, right? Like, if the person's not harming you, like I said, if it's not harming you and your family, right? Or your community, right? Those are the times to kind of stay out of that part. You know what I mean? You do whatever you want to do or whatever, but don't come around in our area and do some shit. You know what I mean?
But that's easy. It's easy for y'all to say. You can take out the trash one day. You can take out the trash one day, somebody pull up on somebody else and harm somebody else. But then there's witnesses that says that you was there. So would you get it? Would you get it? And when the police come and ask you questions, what are you going to say? Are you going to tell them the truth, or are you going to tell a lie?
Hold on for a second. Have those conversations, then move on in the direction that is your best interest for you and your family. So I'll end this part, right? Because, since we're on the live stream and all that, right? I know what I will personally do, but for the sake of the live stream, I'll say this, right? If allegedly, okay, what I said about the part, smoking doesn't mean I'm doing bang bang or whatever. I'm just going to hand them a cigarette, allegedly. Anyways, just make that clear.
Okay.
But yeah, but for the sake of the stream, right? If something happens where it affects your community, I will say, not for me, right? I'm just saying for other people, right? My advice is that, look, if you want violence to end and stop, you have to try to figure out the best way you can to make a change to, de-escalate that. Now, if you want to get caught up, I'm sorry for you. No matter what you say or do, remember, the choice is yours. You could lie or you could tell the truth. But there's always a good and bad consequence when you make those decisions. So telling the truth doesn't mean you're gonna have a good consequence out of it. Telling like a lie to protect yourself doesn't mean it becomes positive. So
sometimes it do.
Yeah, but like I said, it's situational that you can't. I don't have an answer for the live stream. Yeah. But I just say, protect yourself and your family, and as long as that person's not after you, you are good. Let them deal with their issues because that's the reason why they're on the issues. If it becomes your issue, then it's like, okay, you have no choice but to handle things in hopefully the best way that you can handle things in a more positive light. But
shout out to Blaze Brown.
Oh yeah, Blaze Brown. What's up, sis? What's up? Shout outs to you as well. Glad that you're able to tune into live stream. Definitely, please get the likes up. I do have to get to the last question because we are getting close to the 2.5 hour mark. So it's already been 2 hours already. But I feel like this last question, I'm gonna ask First Lady Tammy, because it looked like I saw Oh, children. Either Tammy or Caprice. But Tammy, like, wake up. There you go. Do you feel that adults should hold themselves accountable when it comes to children? This includes parents and teachers and authority figures.
I feel that parents should be honest with their children about what they went through when they were children themselves, because I feel it helps the children to understand their parents better, and I feel like it opens up that level of communication and opens up that level of trust. I feel like a lot of parents, some parents don't do that. So I feel like, the dialogue is typically, as far as what I've heard, is when you ask why, because I said so. When there is discipline that's put in place, there's not a reason, you're not allowed to question anything. So it's just, you just go along and you can't question anything that's said or done. And so I feel like that is something that closes off the relationship in a way. It closes off communication, especially, like I said, when it comes to discipline. Parents discipline the way they do, but they never really, because they probably feel like they don't have to explain to their child about why they're choosing what they choose. But even something as simple as not allowing your child to go to friends' houses or friends come over. Your child doesn't understand why you choose that. And in your mind, they don't have to understand. They just do as I say. And I mean, as a parent, you could say that's true, but you have to understand that explaining certain things to your child helps to open up the communication and them to understand you better. And they understand why you're saying they can't do A, B, C, and D. So to just leave it at because I said so, they don't need to know why. I feel like they do need to know why. And I feel like with me, had I known why about things, things would have made more sense to me. And I wouldn't have been so angry and upset because I would have understood why. And so I feel like it would have helped to open up the communication with my mother and I, because when I got older, she explained things to me when I got older. But even as a high schooler, someone who's in high school, I was old enough to understand certain things. But I think it could be a matter of my mother's she wasn't at a point where she was ready to explain anything. And that's the thing is that, when they have it where you discipline your child a certain way, and a lot of times it's like, well, that's the way that I grew up. And that's the way I was raised, doesn't make it okay. So, understand the impact of the things that you say and your actions, and taking responsibility for those, I think is a very big step. And I think it's something that, like I said, it opens up certain things for you and your child to be able to communicate, and your child to see certain things about you and understand you a little bit better than they do. So, because like I said, when I was younger, it was, because I said so, it was, you don't need to know why. You don't need to ask no questions. Like, you weren't allowed to call your parent a liar. Like that was that was not going to happen. You could not call your parent a liar. Even if they were lying, you still couldn't call them a liar.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the thing is that, but that's the thing. Like I said, I feel like when you keep things to yourself that need to be spoken, it's not necessarily going to have the best impact. So, because I feel like the relationship I had with my mother would have been a lot better had that communication would have been open, had my mother would have explained things to me. Because I feel like that would have been her taking accountability. But that's the thing is that parents don't feel like they have to take accountability because they're adult, you're the child. You just do what the adult tells you to do. So yeah, I mean, but there's a lot of, adults that don't take accountability. They don't want to, especially when it comes to kids. Even with teachers, it's a matter of, and there's a school that I worked at where the teacher, she said, well, they should automatically give me respect. And, you know, you have to understand where these kids, the environment these kids are coming from. To have that in your head that they should automatically give you respect, you don't understand the population of kids that you're working with. And so it's nice to have that in your mind, that they should automatically give me respect. But you can't keep that in the front of your mind, because if you have a child that comes to you and they say something a certain kind of way, and you shut things down because in your mind, you should automatically respect me. I'm not going to deal with you. I'm not going to anything. And one way you could say, well, that's the way it's supposed to be. But then that's the thing is that you have to understand that you need to know what this child is dealing with, because there needs to be, I feel like when it comes to teaching, that relationship component is extremely important. And having that where your thinking is they should automatically give me respect. These kids, and a lot of times they don't even respect their parents. And they're not going to look at you as somebody I'm automatically give you respect, because they don't really have respect for authority anyway. So it's a matter of you showing them why they need to give you respect, instead of automatically having in your mind, this is what it is. So, but that's the things that people don't take the time to do that, because it's a matter of, like I said, that this is how it is. This is what you do, all these different things. So, so yeah, so it's just interesting, because like I said, adults don't have it in their mind that they need to take accountability for anything. They don't. They have it that where it's what I say is what I say. You do what I tell you to do. Don't ask no questions. Don't have nothing to say. Don't ask me why. Nothing like that. And that's a problem. So even with my daughter, when it comes to discipline, I talk to her about the discipline that she gets. We have a discussion about why she got the discipline she did, what steps it took that we got, what happened in the space of us getting here. What action did I take and what action did you take? Even when I'm with my students, like I had a student come in and he started talking to one of my students, and I said, I don't know who you are, and he's trying to tell me, and I said, that's nice. I said, but you don't come to my classroom and talk to my students. And then he left. He was just pissed off, and that was one thing that happened that day. There were other things, but I sought him out. And I asked him, I said, did what I say upset you? And he said, yes. And I said, I apologize. That wasn't my intent. So I'm apologizing for what I did, but I'm still going to let you know it wasn't my intent to do that. Let me explain to you why I did it. So I'm still taking accountability, but I also want to let you know this is why I chose to say what I said. Because me taking accountability is saying, yeah, what I said may not have came out the way that you were receptive to it. Let me go a little bit further and explain to you this is what my thinking is. So, and the student appreciated that. He heard me out and he apologized, and he came in my classroom, and he's been a perfect angel the entire time he's been there. But I think it was just the fact that I took the time to come to him, to find him, and to, take accountability, which, like I said, a lot of teachers don't do. Like, it could be a teacher could say, well, that's just my class and that's just the way it is. You could have that approach, but you have to understand that sometimes you have to have a different approach and understand the population you're working with. And even as a parent, understand the child that you have. And you want to do what you can that's going to be more receptive to that child, because not every child responds to the same thing. So get to know your child to know what's going to work and what's not. And understand that having the thinking of what I say is what I say. You don't ask no questions. You don't ask me why. You just do what I tell you to do. That's why you have it where these kids, there's things that happen with other family members. And because that's what they're so trained to do, is this is the adult. You don't ask no questions. You don't ask why. You just do what they tell you to do. That's why you have it where they don't do anything except what that person tells them. And even if they're in a position that they don't deserve to be in, they're going to do what that adult tells them to do, because in their mind, that's what they're trained to do, is to do what that adult tells them to do. Don't ask no questions. Don't ask me why. None of that kind of stuff. So you have to take the time to think about those kind of things that, you're training your child to think a certain kind of way and act a certain kind of way. And that can be detrimental.
Thank you, First Lady Tammy, for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hold on for a second. Okay. Kashif says, spot on, First Lady Tammy. They can be taught. I too believe in explaining to children. We explain the options and why. And then Kashif says, Blaze, right. Yeah. Giving a child an explanation when being like, let's just say an example of being disciplined, is better. And I feel like somebody said in the comments too about like, I forgot what they said, but basically when you're disciplining them and you're like, okay, it's none of your business or whatever, don't worry about it. I feel like they're not really learning anything, It's like they just getting the discipline, but I feel like you're setting them up to, I guess, do it again, basically, until they learn things the hard way on account of their actions. They know that, okay, whatever they do, they're gonna get a whooping, but you have to help them understand, like, okay, well, why am I giving this whooping, or why am I telling you not to do that? Leave them with a conclusion so they could understand and not leave like a cliffhanger.
Right.
That makes sense.
Right.
And because sometimes we don't learn this as children. We learn how important our examples to children. Students are in our career fields and in other relationships. Tammy sounds like a concerned educator, thinks. And passionate to the student who needed that side of the conversation, that side conversation.
Well, and that's the thing, like that. So the student was upset because his entire schedule had gotten changed. And when he came in my room, I think he meant like when he was trying to tell me who he was trying to say, oh, my name is so-and-so, but I wasn't trying to hear it. I was like, that's nice, but this is what you do. And like I said, he was pissed. When he left, he was pissed. Because not only did the schedule get changed, but now this teacher didn't said something. And that's the thing is, like, I didn't have to take the time to go find him, but I wanted to because he was going to be coming in my class. And I wanted him to feel like I was a teacher that was going to listen to him. So yeah, I took the time to find him, to talk to him and all that kind of stuff. But that's the thing is, like, I do think that when you just discipline the child and then you leave it at that, like I said, it does leave a cliffhanger that, the child is, you have it where on one hand, the child may say, okay, yeah, I got a whooping, let me not do that again. I think it's different where you have this conversation with child, like, look, this is what you should have done differently. These are the steps that brought us to where we are. So even with my daughter, there are steps, like I said, she's gotten a whooping maybe like 3 times in her entire life. Even when she got those, her and I had a conversation about the different things, the steps that it took for us to get where we are. Like and when she got a whooping, that wasn't my first punishment for her. Like, that wasn't the first thing I jumped to. There were other things I jumped to. So even in the conversation, we had that and say, well, this is what we tried, and that didn't work. Then we tried this, and that didn't work. So now this is how we got here. Because I feel like that helps her to see, okay, there were these other things that my mom tried, and they want to fix, and now we got here. So it helps her to even think about making a different decision. So, yeah. So, I mean, discipline, it can put a fear into your child, but it's not necessarily a healthy fear that your child has. And that's just not good. So.
Thank you for sharing that, Tammy. Trapice, I know you're a mother, so let me go to the number 7 question. Do you feel adults should hold themselves accountable when it comes to children? children. This includes parents, teachers, and authority figures. Let's see. Caprice, can you hear us? All right. Caprice, going once, going twice.
Her mic is muted.
Yeah.
So listen, okay, I'm gonna go. So with that being said, yes, listen, the adults are responsible for the kids and discipline. Of course, I definitely agree upon that. And listen, with kids, you gotta stay on them. All right, you can't be, you can't spare that rod. You spare that rod, you spoil a child. You know what I mean, you know what I mean. I got whippings. You know what I mean. You know, I got a few whippings growing up. You know what I mean, and you know, it all helped me to understand, you know, the balance of good and bad behavior. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? And, you know, they talk to me, you know what I mean? But, you know, a lot of times, you know what I'm saying, with kids, they'll just test you. I mean, it's supposed to, they're supposed to test the waters. That's what it's called. You test the waters, you test what's going on, and you know, you try to figure out, you know, what you can get away with. All kids do that. I mean, I know I did. I mean, like, all right, maybe, if I do this, if I sneak in the kitchen, take the last cookie, my mom ain't gonna know. I'm just hide the cookie wrapper, and I always would get caught, and I'll be behind. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially if she done told me, like, don't do something. Like, once you know, I understand the psychology and the pure basically goodness and discipline of one time. If you tell a child something one time, I'm gonna tell you this one time. All my folks said it. Look, I'm gonna tell you this one time. Once they said that one time thing, I remembered. Okay, because if I didn't remember, that was my behind. Okay, so it was one time only. Grand opening, grand closing. Okay, if I got it confused in any way, that belt was coming out. You know what I mean? And listen, it was a necessary. I ain't gonna say necessary evil. It was a necessary goodness. I needed it. You know what I mean? Because if not, you know, I was, you know, because of the environment I grew up in and just everything else, I needed that discipline. And just life itself, the world. You know what I mean? You got to be disciplined, man. Not disciplined, it's gonna cost you. You know what I mean? It's gonna cost you a lot of things. So, yeah, you know, I needed that. I needed that discipline, man. I needed it. You know what I mean? Now, sometimes I do believe they could have been more emotionally present in certain things. You know what I mean? Or certain aspects. But when it came to discipline, it was top notch, man. I can't even lie. Like, you know, I got warnings, man. I did. But yeah, as a child, you're gonna test the waters, man. That's what you're gonna do. You know what I mean? You're trying to figure out yourself, you're trying to become your own person, eventually become your own adult and be out there in the world. So you're gonna test your parents. That's just what it is. And when you test them, they gotta respond to the test. And the parents that was raising me never failed. For real. Queen, what do you think about that? Let's go to Queen.
What's the question? I'm sorry, I came back.
Let's see. Where's question number 7?
We still talking about white lies?
No. But here's though. I'll let you read it.
Do you feel that adults should hold themselves accountable when it comes to children? This includes parents and teachers and authority. Hell yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm in the field because parents aren't being held accountable. That's why social services exist. Because parents aren't held accountable. You know, everybody want to be fertile and reproduce, but don't nobody think about that little life you're bringing into the world and whether you can and cannot handle it. So just having a baby because you want a baby to love you and all that BS, that's selfish. That's why I have a job.
Exactly.
Because of the foster care system. And then, you know, you got other countries where they have a limit on how many kids you can have. So you can keep having kids, but if you don't have that boy, they drop those little girls off on the side of the road and they go to an orphanage because they want that boy, you know? So, yeah, I think parents need to be held accountable. I think parents need to be equipped to be parents. You know, I think sometimes limited resources make you go a little stir crazy, and limited support. So, you know, I think it's also support, education, and accountability. You know, like just because you got that urge, strap it up. You know.
Oh,
I heard that.
Don't let
the
them
urge,
things
not
swim
the
over.
urge.
Don't let them things swim in that fallopian tube. You know, strap it up.
You said the
Close
urge.
that dam. Close that dam.
You heard it, fellas. Ladies and fellas, strap it up. Wrap it up, strap it up.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
You said the
okay.
urge. And look,
Yeah.
listen. And if you're not disciplining your kids on a regular, my demon seed alert automatically comes up. That demon seed alert starts popping in my mind, and I'm like, oh, demon seed alert. Then I'm like, all right, one, I gotta, if I'm ever around this kid, I gotta watch him. You know what I mean, myself, because their parents are gonna rediscipline him like that. And two, if they do come to my career, they're gonna be breaking all my stuff and going
No.
places they ain't supposed to be and all that. Like, nah. The
Look,
demon seed alert definitely pops up if you ain't disciplining your kid.
if
Definitely.
you bring in your demon seeds in my house and you sitting there letting them be a demon seed, and I'm looking at you and you letting them be a demon seed in my house, guess what? I become the mama then.
Oh damn.
I don't play that. I'm not gonna put my hands on you, but I damn sure ain't gonna let your demon seed tear up my house and you sitting there looking stupid. I will
Right.
talk to you. I will talk to your little demon seed, and then I will usher y'all both out the house, and you will never come back with that demon seed. Just like when I used to babysit, that's how I got through college. It was in the clause. I can beat the kids. All the kids I've ever babysat, I could discipline them. I didn't have to because they were scared of me, but I could. That was part of, yeah. If you act up, Canary can get that spoon and tear you up. Okay. Don't make me get that spoon.
Not the spoon.
Not the spoon.
Everybody knows about that spoon.
It looked like a fly swatter. It was so big.
Damn.
Oh, dang.
The hell?
Well, you know the kids I babysat. Come on.
Yeah, no.
They were Tongan. Yeah, no,
We
they
know.
were big.
All right, no put this out there. Allegedly.
All right, so
we gotta get the DJ Eddie.
Yeah, go ahead, DJ Eddie.
Yeah, so the answer is yes. They should hold themselves accountable when it comes to. But listen, what's important is just the children. The children are important, right? So let's just say there's a single father, but then there's a the single father's in a relationship with, let's just say, the stepmom, or let's say the single mom is in a relationship with a stepfather, where you have to have two parents in a household with the children. It can't just be just one side. You can't be by yourself. As far as like let's say a father, right? You just you can't just talk to your children and tell them certain things or what you think is the right way or the wrong way. It has to be two people. It has to be two parents. Whether, let's just say, but the father is not the real father. Let's just say he's just a stepfather. That's cool. But it has to be two parents in a house. Because if it's just one single parent, usually when the kids get older, they tend to do other things that they wouldn't do. They'll make decisions that you wouldn't make. Mm-hmm. And then you start to think in your mind, well, where did they get that idea from? Sometimes, kids, they get a lot of ideas from technology. Like, for example, the phone. There's a lot of things going on. The TikToks, Instagram. There's a lot of websites going on, that kids look at and watch. Sometimes, to me, I feel like no child should have a phone until they turn 21. 19, 21. I mean, for me, I think that, it's a bad idea to for one parent to be in a household to train or talk to their children. It should be two parents, whether they related to if they related to the child or not. It should be two parents in a household. Let's just say that they're separated. Okay, there has to be a mutual respect between the mother and the father. If not, if it doesn't work out, okay, that's fine. But it has to be a man in the household to also talk to the children. And it has to be two sides, because if it's just one, usually the kids will grow up, and even though they might go different routes, it becomes a problem. So you start thinking, oh, where did he? What's going on? That's not how I raised you. It's because there isn't two parents. It's only just one single parent, and I believe it will create a problem in the future if you do not have these two adults in the house with their children. So it's not. You may not even have to beat the children. You may not have to do that. If you are a single parent, in your mind you might have to, but you may not have to do that if you have two parents in a household. One of the parents the child's going to listen to. If it's not going to be the mother, it's going to be the father. He's going to listen to the father or the stepfather. You know what I mean? So it's important to have two parents in the household, and that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, no problem. Let's see. And Jabri says she agree, and absolutely.
Thank you, Caprice.
Okay. Let me go back to. Sorry, hold on. I got lost with the number. For the number 7 question is. Okay. Let me answer this because we're going to wrap it up soon anyway. Do I feel that adults should hold themselves accountable when it comes to their children? Yes, big time for sure, because you are who they look up to. Parents, teachers, whoever. Like, okay, even if you are a designated role model, if that person will even look at you as a role model to their children, to him or her, right? And you're doing something that's gonna lead the other person astray. Like, I feel like that's where like you should really hold yourself up to a higher standard. If you wanna see them hold themselves to a higher standard. Now, if not, then it's okay, but that's just on you, and that's on the kids. But I feel like when you're a parent, even though I don't have kids, I will assume or I will think that accountability starts off with the parent to raise the kid to be the best that they can be. Not saying they're gonna follow your footsteps in a positive way, but you are responsible for how you raise your kids. Remember, accountability also equals responsibility, and that's how I'm going to leave it. Now, Jabris, if you're able to talk, that's cool. But if you're not right now at the moment, that's
I
totally
am.
fine. Oh, okay,
I am.
good.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
I 100% believe that um, the parents of children, um, should hold themselves accountable. Especially in most cases, like we are responsible for the outcome of how they behave and how they treat others, if you pretty much behave in society when they get adults. And in most states, if your child, I know here in California, if your child does something, let's say
Mm-hmm.
like does I don't know, does something, the parent is responsible for it, whether it is a fine or you guys have to go to court or something like that. So I do believe that children, under that adults, i.e., parents, um, should be held accountable for their whatever it is that the child is doing. Like maybe they go to school acting up. They should be responsible. And I do believe that in most cases, the actions of children is due to whatever is going on in the home, or whether they're cursing or something that they're obviously getting that from their parents. So it is a big accountability between adults and children.
All right, thank you,
Because
Kris.
we literally hold their future in our hands. Like the power that we have as parents, we are like the first shapers. And that outcome, whatever that outcome is when they get adults, it usually has a lot to do with how they're raised in the home.
Okay, let me ask you this.
I agree.
Oh no, go ahead, Pastor Roy.
And three, I have an announcement.
Oh, okay.
Okay, look. I have an announcement. Look. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna sound crazy, but I don't care. Look, man, most of the kids are bad, okay? Mostly are bad. I ain't never met a nice little kid in my life. I can count on the hand how many little kids I met that are nice. Growing up and as an adult. Most of the kids are mean. They're bad. They talk about people. Like, mommy, she ugly. You know what I mean? Like, they do that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Little kids are bad, okay? Like I said, I count on my fingers the times I met a kid that was nice or that was good. You know what I'm saying? I can count on my fingers. Most little kids, you know what I'm saying, are bad little bastards. They just are. They like to get into stuff. They're nosy. They break stuff. That's just what they do. They're kids. You know what I mean? They can't really help themselves. They're trying to figure life out. You know what I mean? It's like almost having like a little pet. Like the pet don't get into stuff, break all your stuff, bite stuff, whatever. That's what a pet does until you train her. So with kids, you got to train them. You got to be on them. You know what I mean? You got to be on them. You do. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't constantly getting in that ass on a regular basis and getting in your kids, you got a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand. Look, I'm just telling you, this is what I know. You know what I mean? Like, little kids are bad, man. You know what I mean? That's just what it is, man. Like I said, I can count on my hand. The times I actually been a good kid, I can count on my hand. There ain't many of them. You know what I mean? Most kids are bad, and they need discipline. That's just what it is. That's what it is.
Can I say something real quick?
Well, you know, it's like where do they get these ideas from to breaking stuff and cutting school? You know, getting high. Like where do they get this idea from? You know, they get it from someone.
We was kids, right? Let me take you back. Let me take you back to like about 1992. Take you back to 1992 real quick, right? You know, like you person going around the block, right? Like everybody like, yo, don't go down that block. But you like, yo, man, hold on, man. Man, my mom is asleep right now. Yo, man. Yo, let's go down the block, yo. They can pieces, yo. Like, nah, man, we can't go down the block and get a pizza. You're like, man, come on, man. Let's go. You start smelling the pizza. You know your mom is asleep. What you gonna do? You going down that block. You know you're going down that block. After about 2 or 3 days of happening, you with that peer pressure, oh man, the little kids calling you a punk. Hey man, you a punk. You can't go down there. You a punk. You're like, you know what, man? I ain't no punk. I'm going. And all of a sudden, you go down there, your mama find out, it's a wrap for you. We all been through this as kids. We know this. I don't know why we trying to sit here and act like little kids is nice. They're not nice. We all were bad. We all need discipline. This is what it was. We were mischievous. That's what kids do. They just want to know. They want to learn. They want to grow. It's not a bad thing. Okay?
I don't think anyone was making it a bad thing. I think it was just saying that they should be responsible, and more than so, they are responsible for the outcome.
Right,
exactly.
right.
That's why parents got to be on them. You know what I mean? Because parents are responsible. Because kids, they just want to know. They want to get into stuff because they're just trying to figure out what the world is. They're trying to figure things out. So in that, they get in trouble. They get into stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. Like, y'all know what it is, man. Y'all been little and they getting in trouble. I know I was cutting up. You know what I mean? If I could, but I also was scared of my mom. So yeah, that's what.
But I definitely can tell the difference though from the behavior of children that come from single homes and from a 2-parent home. I definitely can tell you that there is a huge difference.
Oh, Lord, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Can I say something?
Huge difference.
So here's the thing. So it's so interesting to me because there's this like, oh, you know, if they come from a single parent home, all these kind of other things. There is a difference. There is a difference between a child that comes from a single parent home where the parents do not co-parent, do not get along, the child never sees the other parent. There is a difference where even though the parents are not together, the child has a healthy relationship with both the mother and the father. There is a difference between that. So, and the thing is that not all single parents get along with each other. Like the mom and dad, not all of them get along. Not all of them allow the other parent to be in the child's life because they think more about themselves than what's better for the child. But there are, and I say this because I speak from experience as far as myself and other people that I know, is that the child has a healthy relationship with the other parent, even if the other parent is not in the household. The child goes up perfectly fine, not disrespectful, not off the hook, none of that kind of stuff. Because even though the parents were not in the same household for whatever the reason, there was still a healthy relationship with that other parent. There's a healthy relationship with both parents as far as co-parenting together, not arguing in front of each other, not arguing at all, not doing the name calling, not talking bad about the other parent to the child or even around the child, or talking bad about the other parent to other people. So it's like you have to, like when I hear a lot of stuff, like I hear and it's like people don't give credit to the parents that put their child first. They say, you know, even though we're not together, we're going to get along. We're going to both be in our child's life. Our child is going to have a relationship with both of us. Both of us are going to get along. Both of us are going to be cordial and respectful to each other, so that our child sees that even though we are not together, we're still getting along. We still appreciate one another. We still allow our child to be in a relationship with the other parent. So it's like you have to give credit to that. And I feel like there is no credit given to that. There's this whole, okay, if the child's not in the house with both parents, then oh my God, what the hell is going to go on with this child? This child is just going to, you know, just go off and all these kind of other negative things. And that's not always the case. That's not always the case. So I feel like I have to say something because, and I mean that's the perfect dynamic. And I'm not saying that that's not a perfect dynamic for the two parents to be in the same house with the child. That's the absolute perfect dynamic. But the reality is that's not always what happens. And what you have to look at is how are these adults handling it when that's something that happens? How are they handling that, not just for themselves, but for that child? Because that child is seeing that. So the child seeing that, yeah, my mother and dad are not together, but I have a beautiful relationship with my father. I have a beautiful relationship with my mother. They get along. They're not disagreeable. They're not arguing. They're not calling each other names. So that's the thing, is that's the thing, is that you have to give credit to that rather than taking credit away from that. Because that's what it seems like always happens when we have the discussion about the child that's not in the two-parent household. You have to give credit to that.
I don't think that it's not given. Okay, so giving credit for something that is supposed to be done anyway. So it's just the like, and we're not saying all. That's why I said most cases that is apparent and that is reality and that's real. Now your case may be different, and some other people's cases may be totally different. But again, those exceptions don't make the rule. And of course, it's there in your household and your daughter and future children, if you do have some, maybe just like, you know, great overall. But we're just talking about the reality statistics and data. Like that's just what it is. And I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, make kudos to you and kudos to the other ones that do it, but it's just something that's apparent. And I don't think that it's anything that, I don't know if you're offended or anything, but I don't believe that it's something you should be offended by, because it's the truth. That's just what it is.
I mean, it's not necessarily that I'm offended by it. It's just nobody ever. So people always talk about all that negative as far as like the single parent, and like there's never really. It's always, that's what's highlighted, is that negative. And there's not really a spotlight put on the good that is out there as far as those parents that do it right despite not being in the same household. There's so much spotlight put on the negative. And I think just in general, that's just a lot of times what happens is that there's spotlight always put on the negative rather than on the positive. I mean, the reality is a lot of times the negative is a lot of what goes on. It's like you gotta give credit where credit is due. Even when we talk about the 2-parent household, you have those 2-parent households where, yeah, both parents are in there, but it's a toxic environment for that child. But then it's always highlighted that the child needs both parents. Yeah, well, look at this. The child has both parents in the household, and it's so detrimental. It's doing damage to that child. So it's like, and that's the thing that I think I get bothered with, because every time there is a discussion, there's always this focus on, well, the child needs to have both parents. Child needs to have both parents, and the child can have both parents. They might not be in the same household, but that child has both of those parents. So, so like I said, it wasn't necessarily about me being offending. It's more just I notice it every single time there's a discussion, and we talk about the child that's in the household with both parents, and the child that comes from a single parent household. So, so that's the thing I think that I just really irks my nerves, because it's just the part that's highlighted is just crazy.
Is it a little bit of projection because maybe you are?
No, not really.
But let me say that. Let me say this.
It's not necessarily.
Let me say this real quick. Just real quick. Can I say this real quick? Look, my brother grew up with both his parents, right? He got into way more trouble than I did. You know what I'm saying? Like way more trouble. So like that 2 parents stuff, it don't matter. I knew a kid who was a bully in school, and his parents, they knew my aunt, and his parents were great parents, man. Like they worked city jobs, they had mad money, all that. Like they took care of this boy, but he was a monster. You know what I mean? And like I said, all the kids are mischievous and curious. You know what I mean? They all are like that. So it's all just based on kind of, you could teach them a lot of the right things they want to do, but a lot of times they choose their own path sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes they'll go back to the right way, but sometimes they just do whatever they want to do. You know what I'm saying? So like as a parent, it all depends. You're the parent is responsible. They can do the best they can, but still that doesn't mean the child will come out right. That child can still come out doing whatever they want. You know what I mean? As an adult. So it also depends on the person too. Like you give them a stable environment, you give them food, give them love, give them support, all that. At the end of the day, if they want to be who they want to be, that's who they're gonna be, and that's really it. So
the question is, how do they something? It's got to be a bigger reason for them to act like that.
No, it was no reason for my brother or for the dude I knew. He had no reason to be in gangs and all that, but that's what he wanted to do. That's what he wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? It was his choice. Like he decided to do these things. And
there's always a reason to everything. There's always a reason to
everything.
He
decided because he wanted to do it. He wanted to be cool. He wanted to fit in. He wanted to have a rep. Some people just want to have a rep, and they want to be in a spotlight. And that's just really what it was. It wasn't nothing to do with his parents. They did everything they could. You know, I know an uncle that's like that. You know, my grandparents did everything they can for him. He still wants to be a certain way. It is what it is. Like,
maybe he wasn't.
But if you're around that, if you're around that type of energy, I mean, that's what you're going to become. Not saying that he was around his parents or his parents was like that. I'm saying he was around somebody to have that type of energy for him to have reasons to do that.
Yeah, but it wasn't like I'm saying. It wasn't the parents' fault though. The parents did the best they could.
Right, and I'm not saying it was their fault. I didn't say it was their fault. No.
Yeah, I know you didn't. But yeah, it is what it is. But like I said, all little kids are mischievous and curious. We've all done things as little kids that we shouldn't be doing. Our parents wasn't watching. You know, y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Quinn ain't been saying nothing. Them 3 ain't saying nothing. DJ Eddie, I know it's your turn. But yeah, y'all rock out, man. I'm gonna fall back.
All right, listen. I'm just saying that there's always reasons up to something for a child to act like that. It don't even have to be the parents. One day he probably could go to school with somebody might introduce this, their child into something and they not supposed to get into. But now what I want to speak on is the single parenting thing, right? That's what I want to speak on. It's a difference if you can't say, okay, well, two parents can be in the house. That there's a difference between, okay, I hate the mother, but I'm gonna be there for the child, or I have full respect for the mother and I'm gonna be there for the child. It's a total big difference. So if you have hatred towards each other and only there for the child, that's negative. You're still bringing that negative energy into life. If you don't have the full respect for the parent, but that's where it starts. That's a difference. That's a big difference. That's a big difference. Now, as far as being at school and stuff like that, listen, these kids be acting up. Start from where I was growing up. Kids used to watch movies, Men's Society, Colors, whatever movie that you can name, New Jersey Drive, whatever. Like they watch these things. They watch these things. Okay, at a young age. You know, let's just say they got older brothers. They watch these things from what their brothers or let's from their brothers or their friends used to watch. So they watch these things and they take that and go out and create their own mess. It's not really the parents' fault, but I'm just saying that it's reasons why children act the way that they do. But when I say when I say you got to have two parents in a household, to take care of that child, two parents in a household that has respect for each other. Let's just say they're not together, but they have mad respect. Okay, there's a big difference there. Now, if you guys are separated, I'm like, oh man, I hate her, man. I'm sleeping here on the couch. I can't stand her. Blah blah blah. But that's different. That's a different level of energy. That's not going to work because when you are separated from each other, angry. Now you guys are competing with each other when it comes to the kids. Okay, well, let's see who the kids love more, their daddy or their mom. They're competing now. They don't have respect for each other, which is why they're competing. That's unhealthy too. Totally different. Totally different.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely welcome. Let's see. Let me read this comment real quick. It's called "Mental Outside Yourself." He has to be something unless he has demons. And there is something about having a living parent versus a parent not in home. Not in the home. Okay. Let me see. All right. So let me close up because we're already at the 3-hour mark. And after that, we're gonna shout out everyone on our platforms. Do I feel adults should hold us? No, actually, hold on. I forgot. I already answered that one. But hold on for a second. SNL's they're going to catch tonight. Okay. So just to kind of answer that part as far as the 2-parent household versus the 1-parent household, on both sides of the coin, right? It really doesn't matter at a certain point because you're going to turn out the way how you're going to turn out. However, having someone in both homes, right, supporting you does make a big difference versus if one parent is supporting you. One parent is already going to be stressed out. I can't say about raising kids because I don't have a kid of my own, but if I could just put myself in a situation, and let's just say if I had a kid, I would not have a desire to raise a kid by myself, versus having somebody who can co-parent or who's living at home helping me to raise the child. Like it is beneficial for both parents to be together and hopefully if possible to help raise those kids, because the mother and the father have strengths and weaknesses. Now, however, there's nothing if you could do. Like if something happens and the parent passes on, that's something that you also have to kind of take account of. That it doesn't mean it's like the child is going to end up growing up terrible because they don't have both parents automatically. And then you also have to give account on domestic abuse and violence. Sometimes it can get so bad that you need to separate from that husband or from that wife because living together only pretty much ruins like the mental growth of the kid, which it goes back into your accountability and your responsibility. If you're not taking care of like your kids, if you're not taking care of your responsibilities, you're gonna end up damaging that child. Point blank, period. But if you are two parents and you are taking accountability and responsibility for your children, to me, the growth of your children, in my opinion, will be more highly successful than a stressed out single parent, is raising a kid like by themselves. The thing is, the child grows up and you could be totally fine. But in the beginning of it, you're gonna wonder, okay, why is there chaos and dysfunction in the home? Why does I see this kid and on the outside surface, this kid must be living a good life. He or she has both parents. Why do I have to have one parent? So, I feel like children will be going through those type of thoughts, and jealousy can occur. I'm not saying all, okay? So don't try to contest me on this. But, we'll just say half and half. Half their children, right? Matter of fact, fuck it. In my experience, right? With other people who had single parents, like a lot of them, had resentment and jealousy. You know, my mom and dad wasn't together like that, but they co-parent, but they was also living in the same household. So it benefited me as a man to have both parents in the household. Now, when dad moved out and it was just mom and dad, it was a complete difference. It felt kind of weird and it felt awkward, And a lot of young boys like myself, or at the time, a lot of young boys, they end up being terrible towards their moms because they know they could run their moms over versus running the dads over. This is what we grew up. So if anybody try to tell me something different, I'm just gonna say, well, that's your situation, your livelihood. But from what we grew up, we know how important it was to have a good father figure or a good or our dads in the household, and we know how chaotic it would be if it just our moms trying to run the household. That's just our personal experience. They didn't know how to run the household, and that was unfortunate. But they loved us like how mom's supposed to be, nurturing, but it was still chaotic because women are emotional, and you take those emotional traits. The more you be around with your mother versus father figures or fathers who are not as emotional as what I don't know if you guys get it, but who got a good head on their shoulders. So I was just fortunate to have both parents and meet dudes like OGs that although they did their own thing and that's just what it was, but some of them, especially around our block, had a good head on their shoulders, and they was always teaching us how to be men. You know, um, Even if, like, let's just say, like, if our dads or whatever wasn't around at the moment, you still had older people that was teach you lessons in life. Not to be a punk.
Yeah.
Know how to hold it down on your own. When I was in dire situations where, like, grown ass men like was coming at me, and I'm a little kid at the time. You know, now, um, now if I was able to, like, get access to my dad right away, it would be a different story. But if he's at work, let's just say my uncle or whatever, right? And I remember a time he whooped somebody's ass, on account of me. So, all like who I am and all these traits did not come from my mother. Like if I, like I said, if I was around with a whole bunch of women, I would have been a totally different guy. I would have been highly emotional. I know people don't want to hear it, but I would have been in a really feminine type of guy. You know, because I wasn't, if I was not surrounded by a male presence to really put some sense and reality in my own realm. So and like I said, me and DJ Eddie, we grew up, so we understand from our world.
Yeah.
Everybody's world is different.
Totally different.
So, you could grow up, with one mother and still be totally fine. But somewhere down the line, there had to been a male role model in your presence, to at least show you the way of how to be a man. And if not, then I mean, hey, it just what it is. Kids now these days, they can look up YouTube, internet, and get the direction from some of these online dating coaches or whatever. It's all cares. But yeah. But for us, like before YouTube and anything else, you know, um, if our mentors wasn't our dads at the moment, our mentors was also the people in our neighborhood, and they didn't do things perfectly, but they knew what was it like, growing up out there in the streets. And none of these guys, these OGs, want us to be a part of the streets. And I appreciate them for the mentorship, and my dad for the mentorship, and other people growing up.
Yeah.
So
I salute you. I salute you on that.
Yeah. And I said this again, it's my own personal experience. So, not anybody could relate. Everybody have their own different experiences. And I get it that you don't have to have two parents to become the person you are. There's a lot of young dudes that only grew up with their mothers, and they became well, I'm not even gonna count athletes. Fuck the athletes, right? But they became doctors, they became lawyers, they became professionals. They didn't have to like dance around for like the entertainment industry. They did something to make a great change, and they didn't have fathers in life, or there was guys that only probably had like a dad in life, and they didn't have mothers. But it's the choices that you make as an individual that helps you lead to success based off how you grew up in your upbringing. So the only way how you stay stagnant, and this is where we got to take accountability. Forget about what our parents have done in the past. Forget about if our parents were not together, or was not able to teach us the right things. What are we doing for ourselves to make sure, okay, that we are elevating at the best that we can to our ability? And when we could come to that point where we're not blaming our parents, mistakes or lack of accountability on their own actions, and then we press forward, then living in a two-parent household or one-parent household does not really matter. You just use it as a learning experience and a tool, and seek out and get help. That's the growth of maturity and responsibility that we all gonna have to take once we develop that type of mindset.
And even though it was rough growing up and stuff, I had the chance to look at my surroundings. I had the chance to look at these kids and watch these kids grow up, and seeing these kids watching the same things I used to watch, doing the same thing that I used to do. Now, I when I became older and more wiser, I really started to understand why and how important it is to have two parents and in the household. So if I was to have a kid today, you know, it would have to be out. It would have to be, to me, it's very important. Even if, if I'm with a woman or not, I would tell her, listen, before we make this decision, if anything happens, we must have mutual respect for each other. We cannot hate each other. We cannot dislike each other. We have to have mutual love and respect for one another and be there for our children. That's what's important. It have to be a two-parent household, even though a lot of us didn't grow up with that. But we're more wiser now. We can think now. We know what's more important when it comes to the children. If we see these children grow up to what it is today, now we know how to help these children. We know how. Now, if I had a kid, I'm not going to have my kid watching no Menace to Society or the other crazy type of movies, or I'm not even going to have my child to even have a cell phone. If it is, it's not going to be like apps and stuff like that. It's going to be like a regular cell phone to where you can't get on the internet. Okay, it's going to be like one of just regular home phones, because I don't want my child to get into that lifestyle, even know about that lifestyle. So I by having a kid, it's like me starting all the way over again, because I'm more wiser. I know what to do now. You you may not have saved yourself back then, even though you got more wiser, but you can save your children. You can save your child before he becomes or she becomes to this earth. You know what to do. So that's my. When I mean you, I'm talking about everybody in general. Like, you know what to do.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say this, right, before I wrap it up. If it was my choice or whatever, right, and I had a responsibility for kids, right, and Blaze says wealth of information is shared from the panel. Thanks. Thank you too, sis, for still tuning in and rocking with us. I would actually expose my kids to all these things, but I would educate them, because the thing is, if you don't educate your kid of what's going on, some other bastard will gonna, like try to educate, and then they're gonna steer him or her in the wrong direction. See, the thing is, you gotta be careful, because when the kid is away and they're around with a bunch of weirdo parents, if you know what I mean, weirdo parents, they're gonna try to expose your kid, well, with a lot of things. And your kid, if you try to shield your child from certain things and activities, you're setting that kid up for failure. That kid got to understand what is right and what is wrong and what is disgusting.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And sometimes I hate to say this, but you know, as a younger person, right? And I'm not talking about like in early adult years, but I'm talking about like maybe like, you know, uh, like middle school or something like that. Like sometimes I wish I put myself out there to get exposed to certain things. I'm not saying try certain things out. Like I'm not talking about like drugs or anything like that, but expanding my knowledge on certain things around the world, so I could just be preparing myself or whatever, or not feel like I missed anything out. You know what I mean? And so you don't want that kid to feel like, oh, I missed something out because my parents shielded me from that. Because when they get older, they're gonna want to try it out anyway. You don't want them to get addicted to that at an older age. You know what I mean? Let them see it for themselves at a younger age, and let them understand, and hopefully they can make the right decisions. You know, and that's why I'm just going to end off that part, because it's already about to be 9 o'clock and I got to wrap it up.
And I think that if I think also the parents should also go to school and check up on their kids, because 9 times out of 10 when kids do act up, they only act up when their parents is not there. But when their parents come, they're seeking to get A+. It's all A's. When their parents come to the school, they act right when their parents come to the school. So I think it's also a good idea for parents to show up and surprise their children to see what they're doing. Because every time parents show up, they're doing very, very well. But when they're not there, they just act crazy. So I think you should stay close to your children I think that's important too. Check on them from time to time when they at school. See what they doing. See what they up to. Make sure they're doing the right work.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, people. Thank you for sharing. I am about to get ready to close this out because I definitely have to get ready for another day. But you know, tune into the next live streams for. Oh, actually, Best in the World. Are you still here?
I'm right here.
Best in the World. Do you want to give the honors to give the closing announcements for the upcoming streams?
Yeah.
We're gonna surprise y'all. No, I'm not
Second?
gonna announce it. I'm gonna be surprised, man. I'm gonna be surprised.
Okay,
We
for
got
sure.
a lot of content coming for y'all this week. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we will have an interview. Okay. That I will have to let you guys know. Stay tuned for the interview. Should I even give out the person? You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna give out a person name.
No.
You said nope. You said
Nope.
Okay, the people have spoken, so keep it as a surprise then. All right. We're gonna keep it as a surprise. But we have a live interview tomorrow, 5:30 Pacific time, PM. So that'll be Tuesday. And then we'll have something else coming up. So we're gonna be working hard. So, anyways, thank you, Kasheen. And let me go ahead and zoom into first Lady Tammy, wake up. There you go. She's like, hey Tyrone.
Look, see how she fixing her hair. Look how she fixing her hair.
Right. She's like, sorry, honey.
Anyway, thanks for tuning in. If you guys like what you watch, definitely hit that thumbs up, hit that notification bell, and subscribe to Knowledge of Relationships for all of the content that comes up and is coming up and has been played, because you can even watch the other stuff. All the other stuff they've done has been amazing. So anyway, but you can find me here on Mondays, Thursdays, Saturdays. You can also find me on Instagram at First Lady Tammy 916. So thank you for tuning in. See you next time.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. And then so we're gonna zoom into DJ Eddie.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'll let him say that. Go ahead.
I am the music creator for knowledge in relationships. Please like and subscribe to the channel of Knowledge in Relationship. Hit the notification bell. That way you get recent videos, old videos, and new videos. Also, you can check me out on YouTube, DJ Eddie King on YouTube. Also Instagram, dj.eddie.king on Instagram. And please like and subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification bell. Also, you get recent and old videos and new videos. Thank you so much. And I'm going to pass this to the man, the manager for knowledge and relationships.
All right.
Network manager for knowledge and relationships. The Brooklyn in the house, baby.
Thank you, DJ Eddie. Thank you. Appreciate the love.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for tuning in to Knowledge and Relationships, everybody. Truly appreciate you tuning in. Shout out to everybody in the comment section. Shout out to K. Marion, Caprice, Blaze Brown. Shout out to, let me see, Gator Girl, Atlanta Thrasher, my brother. What's up, man? You know what I mean? Shout you out, definitely. You know what I mean? Shout out to Grizz. You know what I mean? Shout out to Access Entertainment. You know what I mean? Shout out to Conversations with King. Definitely much love, for you guys, man. We definitely appreciate you. Shout out to everybody, man. Shout out to everybody that was on tonight. BK Apologist, Queen, Japrice again, Colin. Thank you for all for being on. Also, shout out to the Assistant Network Manager, Damo. Thank you, Damo. I'll be calling you soon.
Shout out to you. Free Damo t-shirts coming soon.
Yeah. Damo's channel coming soon. That thing coming soon, November 13th, y'all. Shout out to First Lady Tammy. Yeah, Tammy. You know what I mean? Shout out to DJ Eddie King, the music coordinator. You know what I mean? And I am the manager for knowledge and relationships. Okay, just for MR Best in the World 1984, MR Best in the World 1984 on Instagram. Thank y'all for tuning in with us. We love y'all. Have a good night. And 3, take it away, man.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Yes, catch Knowledge and Relationships as well, too. Mondays, Thursdays, Saturdays, 5:30 p.m. And then special live interview Tuesday, November 2nd, 5:30 p.m. They're all Pacific Standard Time. And she says, much success to all. Thank you, Miss Blaze Brown. And definitely peace and blessings to you. So let me go ahead and I'm going to zoom into myself. And as I take off my glasses to reveal my pretty eyes, I just want to say thank you, everyone, for tuning in. As always, to Knowledge and Relationships on YouTube. I am the CEO of Knowledge and Relationships. You know, I'm also the moderator, too. Matter of fact, I am the moderator. We're just going to put it like that. But anyways, thank you for tuning in. You know, shout outs to everyone that gave their full support. Whether you comment or not, you know, thank you as well for boosting up the likes. So I definitely appreciate that. And so before you guys and ladies tune in to next time's live streams, always make sure that every one of you guys get your minds right because you will need it when you come tune in to tomorrow's live interview. With that being said, also don't forget to if you have an IG account, and I will put this here. We also have it under the description, but you know, feel free to follow, okay, my Instagram, which is Oakland. If I spell it right, yeah, I did spell it right. Feel free to follow Oakland_artist84. Okay. And then everybody else's IGs is also on the description, including mine. So when you follow our IG accounts, you will also get the latest news as well too when I post up links and you know to our videos. And now a special tool has came in on to my side. Anytime when I post a story, you know, going forward, you should be able to see, notice a little link that says YouTube. You click on the link, and that will take you directly into our Knowledge and Relationships upcoming live streams. You will have to sign in, or if you have the YouTube app, you know what to do. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you could tune in and then set the time, what was it called? Set the alarm so that way you'll be notified and you'll be ready to tune in when we go live. So thank you guys and ladies again. And we are out, everyone. So peace out later and have a good one. Bye.